Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Weekly Games Chat. I'm your host, Chris. As always, joined by my co-host, Sean.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
And John.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Or
It is
morning.
the afternoon
Well,
for us.
you know, it's all possible, not.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.
I don't think we have to keep
Very
that.
nice.
We don't have to keep that secretive. You know,
Well, we record in the afternoon, but for them, Chris, is what I'm saying. You stupid,
I don't care when they listen.
stupid person.
Your time of day doesn't matter when you listen.
Just imagine
Listeners,
us.
just that you listen.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
all
you.
I care about.
Hey, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
Next. On to the next one.
Wait, what?
That's a whole nother song.
Did you guys have a good week?
Looking back, it was pretty nice.
It's all right.
It was pretty nice.
I
Pretty
had
good.
I had an amazing weekend.
Okay.
I had one of those occasions where it's magical and it's hard to explain, but I was very thankful to be a part of it. And I also spent a lot of money on like clothes and stuff that I needed.
Oh, yeah.
So I did some shopping.
Got some old Dockers and some Stafford shirts.
Some dad jeans and New Balances. No shout out to the people who wear those. That's on you.
Excuse
Not
me, sir. Sir.
I'm
Sir,
currently
you're legally
wearing,
parked, sir.
Are you wearing dad jeans?
I'm wearing Levi's and New Balance shoes right now.
Just imagine
And
you
my
walking.
and my shirt is Roundtree and Yorkie from
Hey,
Dillard's.
that's one of those. That's a infamous shirt at this point. He claims he does not iron it. People, if you're a first time listener, it's unbelievable how ironed this shirt is to be not ironed.
Like, he's been wearing this shirt probably for 2 years now, and I can see the crease clear as day, right? I'm staring at
It's
it.
called a factory crease.
That's I buy shirts with factory creases, John.
And they go
They do
away.
not
Yes,
last, yeah.
I buy shirts that say guaranteed wrinkle free, and when I buy it, it's wrinkled. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just
You buy it,
it's just a thing. Yeah. And what happened to the t-shirts? Do you remember years back? It was it was known as
No
bacon
fear.
bacon collar, right?
Oh,
the
yeah.
collar that just gets completely destroyed as you wear it, put your head over it back and forth.
Yeah.
So the campaigns were like the wrinkle free bacon collar shirts.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it is for me to find these shirts? I don't know.
I've never heard of that kind of shirt.
Yeah, they guaranteed that the shirt would lay flat. That's what it was. Lay flat
Hey,
collar.
man. Gotta use that Downy.
Well, one,
Lay flat.
yeah, we use all those things. Two, I do have a massive head that I understand stretches shirts out. I get it.
Let the record show.
Also on top of my shoulders. Richard joke.
That's good.
First 3 minutes into the show.
But you do have a big old tater.
Yeah, I do. It's probably fine.
And your head's big, too.
But it's, hey, no. If
See,
it's
we
that,
can do it all day,
if
folks.
it's that big,
Uh-huh.
at least it's that beautiful.
That's what she said.
You have a beautiful face and head.
Yeah.
What?
What? Man juice.
Fun juice.
Butter of a certain type.
Oh, butteries. But yeah, I wanted to go see How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh,
Yeah, I
did
was
that come
hoping.
out?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
heard
was,
that got excellent reviews.
I was trying to, and I tried to go see, what you call
Speaking
it?
of man juice,
I tried to go see
John, if I smell that, I'm coming across the table.
Fighting in the Family, or whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I didn't get to go see either.
John, the show ends because one of us fight to the death if I smell that.
Oh, man.
I'm
Penny,
gonna
hurry
breathe.
up.
I'm
Penny,
gonna
give
breathe
me-
as normal, Chris.
Yeah, I want to see fighting with my family as well.
I did not realize Stephen Merchant wrote that. And once I did, I was like,
That? I don't know.
he
who that is.
is Stephen Merchant. Okay, did you see Logan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember the albino guy?
Yes.
That's Stephen
That's
Merchant.
racist.
But more importantly, where people probably know him more from as far as achievement,
That's helping.
he what you call it? He is the co-creator of The Office with Ricky Gervais.
So the
Okay.
English version,
So the inferior version.
the better version.
No.
I mean, he's also co-creator technically of the U.S. Office.
Ricky
so-
Gervais is funnier than Steve Carell.
Negative, sir.
Yeah.
He's also in Portal. He was great in Portal,
Ricky Gervais loves the animals.
or Portal 2.
So you should like Ricky Gervais too, John, because you love the animals.
Prison Mike. Enough said.
Like Ricky Gervais will go to war for people who like hunt and for no reason kill animals and stuff like that.
He's pretty big on that stuff.
Yeah.
In defense of it,
No, he's like, don't do it.
Oh,
It's bad.
don't kill animals.
Well, you have to just follow him. And he takes really funny selfies on Instagram.
Oh.
The bathtub ones are
Yes.
classic.
They're the
Nice.
great.
Nice.
Yeah. You don't see Steve Carell do anything but Pepsi ads about, oh, just a Pepsi? Okay. Okay. Cardi B.
Did you watch? I know he did.
The Oscars?
Yeah.
No.
Always.
No.
Also watched Stars Born finally.
I kind of want to see that.
I cried.
I cannot lie.
I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Bradley Cooper's dreamy.
Who knew he could sing, right?
I mean, I could
Chris
tell
probably did watch.
the moment
Chris
I
did.
saw him
As soon as
in Wedding Crashers, I knew that man could bolt out.
As soon as I saw the soundtrack and I saw that actually said Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper on the song, I was like, man, this dude can just do everything. He apparently can direct. He's funny. He's, he can be an action star. He's a freaking raccoon at times.
He could be an action star.
Yes.
Or was he an action? And I forgot.
American Sniper,
American Sniper.
kind of, I guess
Yeah.
you could call that a.
Correction also from last week. I was wrong. I thought Bradley Cooper won. He won the Golden Globe. He did not win the Oscar for Best Actor. So when I was making my picks of who I wanted to win, after watching that movie, he was the one who I was rooting for, even though I was 90% certain he wasn't going to win. But just
Who won Best Actor, Chris?
Just wasn't our year.
Rami Malek won for Freddie
you
Mercury.
see how much he loves that? He loves that Rami Malek won.
I don't think he has a problem with it. I think he has a problem with the movie overall.
Yeah.
You speaking for Chris now?
I watched both those.
Somebody's got to.
I watched both those movies within a week, and I felt one was much more a better take on music and like a part of music that I definitely think is very real than the other. Like, because, that's what makes Stars Born. Stars Born has been done like 3 times now, 3 or 4 times.
3.
And every time you, there's a 30s version too, but then like the one that is adapted, yes, you're right, it's been
There's been
done
3
times.
versions.
Yeah, of the one script that everyone does. But anyways, it's true.
I don't understand why that was so.
It's just, can it be funny to me?
Write a letter.
Anyways, but it always rings true because that story is something that is very true with artists and in music, and it always repeats itself. Not so much like the walking into a bar and randomly finding the greatest, up and coming singer, but more so the other side, the Bradley Cooper side, the guy who is on the burnout side of it and has issues and obviously is a artist to channel those issues. That's Kurt Cobain, that's Amy Winehouse, that's all those people. There's so many you can think of through the years, unfortunately, but it's no different here. And it's very powerful. I was like, man, what he's playing on that stage, and especially the type of music, I was like, I could think of 5 singers that sounded who were exactly like that.
So did you just tell me without telling me the end of the movie?
Have you never seen A Star Is Born?
No.
Before? Oh. Well, I'll let you.
If Bradley
figure it
Cooper
out.
dies, I'm killed. I'm out.
The
I got bad news for you, Sean.
I did not watch the Oscars, but I did watch the clip of their performance, and it was man,
It was nice.
what is it? A CNN anchor, I don't remember who it was, not to steal his comment. I got pregnant watching it. I mean, it was sexy.
Yeah.
Andy Cohen.
It's like and then Twitter blows up and goes, you cannot tell me those 2 are not,
F-bombing
which I
each
find
other.
completely
Yeah, you-
uninteresting. If you're expected to act in a movie,
You gotta
he's
have
got-
chemistry.
You can act on stage.
Yeah.
It's like, this
I
isn't-
didn't
this isn't
understand
complicated.
it because, like, do you not know anything about Lady Gaga? It's like she's
I
so
don't like how I said Gaga.
no, like she's
Well, I
so
heard she has a poker face.
she's so committed. Like anytime you watch her live, I mean, whether it was the Super Bowl or just a couple weeks ago, she did this song at the Grammys and she kind of did like a David Bowie glam.
Yeah, she
performance.
commits.
She commits. Yeah.
Yes.
So like if she's getting up there, she doesn't care that it's Bradley Cooper standing in front of her. She knows she is doing a love song basically in front of someone, and
Yeah.
she is channeling the character from the movie.
Yeah,
that is all she cared about.
Yeah, but she also knows it's Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Chris.
But like, and then like they're like his poor girlfriend. I'm like, he dates a supermodel.
Yeah,
she's confident. She
he's-
feels good.
I think on the red carpet, wasn't she like holding on to him?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, just so you know,
She was
this
like,
is my Richard.
yeah.
Was there any surprises for you
As far
Like
as
when you went,
awards,
oh, like you didn't see that coming?
as far as good surprises, yeah, Olivia Colman winning. I was rooting for that. And
For those who don't know who's Olivia Colman and what
she
is
was
that?
She was Tootie in the Facts of Life.
Yeah.
No, Facts of Life.
But what movie was this?
She will.
Is
It's
that
called
not true?
Yeah, that's not true. She's British.
Here we go. Oh wait, no, she's not.
Yes, she is. She's about to be the queen. Literally.
Oh, then we're talking about somebody different.
Yeah, yeah.
The Queen of England?
Yeah, she's about to take over the role. You know, they're switching on the Crown for Netflix. They're switching over. She's about to take over the Queen.
The Crown.
Yeah.
Crown.
But
because Glenn Close was supposed to win.
And
yes, that was the big one.
There's a nice little video about how she was so close and she doesn't even want it. It was pretty funny because she's Glenn Close, so she's always been so close to win.
That's funny.
Get it?
But she was in a movie called The Favorite, which that was probably my second favorite of everything that was nominated on that list. I was like, if this doesn't win, that would be my second pick.
You watched the movie called The Favorite this year?
It was very good.
It's amazing.
Isn't he so pretentious with this stuff?
Well, it's just like I lived in the same world during the same time frame as Chris.
You never heard of this film. Never.
And I know it's a thing. I mean, that's one of your things. I get it.
Yeah, I seek out this stuff.
Yeah.
So, I like this. This dude did a movie 2 years ago that was weird as heck called The Lobster. And I really liked that. So that was why I went to go watch this one.
Again,
she's in that
Chris
too.
watched the movie called The Lobster.
The movie that won Best Picture
it's so
last
weird.
year, nobody heard of, really?
Which one?
Last year was Shape of Water.
Never mind. Everybody heard that one. I'm thinking of
I
one.
don't know that they did up to the Oscars, John.
Well, it made about 60 million.
I don't know if they saw it.
It was
before the
it was
vote,
more
John.
of like there was Shape of Water, and then no one knew any of the other films on there, which is why the ratings were so terrible last year. Like everyone always talks about ratings with Oscars. I'm like, it's not rocket science.
Well, they put a Marvel movie in there.
Yeah, if you put big movies,
Some say just for ratings.
if you put big movies and you put a big song performance in the Oscars, people will usually tune in because they want to see those things, right?
Yeah.
What's the highest? Just take a guess here. What's the highest rated Oscar telecast ever? It's not that hard to figure out. If you think that.
I'm drawing
The one where Titanic won?
Yes. Why?
Oh,
Because
pretty good. Because John,
Yeah.
my mind was blank.
why? Because and that night you got Titanic, which was sweeping everything, and then you have the performance at that time. Because remember, yeah. Shut it down. Shut it down. We can't afford that. We cannot afford Celine.
Do not censor me or police my speech.
But anyways,
I'll never let go, Jack.
like that song was number one in the world at the time. So like it was like something like 55 million people watched that telecast. Another huge one, of course, is Lord of the Rings. Like all those years Lord of the Rings was nominated, they did well. And it's because of that. Yeah. They had the perfect combo this year.
What was I going to say?
You lost it.
No, it's there. Come on, Sean, you can do it.
You got it, buddy.
Do it for the show. For the show.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Agreed.
Yeah. I'm trying. Okay, let's just move on because I'm apparently blank head. Hey, good tonight.
Anyways, I won't talk about the winner of Best Picture.
You
we don't want to go down that route.
You weren't happy about that?
No, but I wasn't surprised.
Were you disappointed? Were you upset about it?
I was disappointed in the Academy. Not so much for picking that movie, but for what it more so meant that
But
it
isn't the way it kind of works is when you have look, I don't mean to suggest that Rocky wasn't the best picture of 1976 because it was. But let's just take that as a example. When you have that high caliber of films, Network, Taxi Driver, All the President's Men, all that stuff, you split the vote so divisively.
That wasn't though what
it
happened.
It becomes voting. It's a voting ballot, right?
Yeah. No, that's not the reason why what happened though. Like I get what you're saying, and that does happen. That has definitely happened in the past. We've seen it.
So you're saying that's not what happened this year, or that's not what happened in 76?
No, in 76, yeah, you're probably right.
Okay.
It was probably one of those things where you had a bunch of people voting for Network and a bunch of people voting for All the President's Men. And then you have a quiet people who just go like, look, I really like Rocky. Rocky's a fun movie. You know, it's uplifting. It's heartwarming. And, you know, there'll be plenty of people to vote for those other things. But this is what
Green
I like,
Book.
right?
So what happened this year?
This year was basically Roma was by far the favorite, right? Like if you go and you look at critics' choices and everything, that thing is considered a masterpiece.
Sure.
And what happened, and it was admitted by many voters, was basically they didn't want to vote while they were fine with honoring him for best director and best cinematography and all these other things, right? Individual achievement. They had a big problem with voting for it for best picture because Netflix put that movie in theaters for a total of like 2 days and then released it straight to Netflix for its list or its viewership. And there was one person who anonymously said like, look, 2 years ago, I voted for Moonlight to encourage people to go to the theater. You know, this is not doing that. If I vote for this, then I'm voting for the opposite thing. So they wouldn't vote for it. So then you start to go like, well, what are you voting for then? If that's not going to get the votes, you're going to have a small group of people who still don't care. They're going to vote for Roma, right?
Let me just stop you there for a second. You're saying that the reason Green Book won is because people rejected the Netflix film?
Yes, basically.
But you still had so many high caliber films in that category.
Sure.
I mean, the suggestion that they didn't get split.
Yeah, so they went for something that's very traditional to them. Like, that's the kind of thing that the Academy likes. It's a lot easier for them to pick Green Book than it is a Spike Lee film. And is it fair? I mean, that's a different debate, right? But,
sure.
It's just the facts. It's the way it's always been. And maybe things are changing. Maybe this will kind of make them go like, we were, to their credit, they did a lot of things this year that I think impressed a lot of people in terms of saying like, okay, yeah, we don't have a problem voting this as a winner now.
There was some controversy on the Twitter about the winning. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. It's, it's not the first time the weaker film gets the award, and it won't be the last.
No.
I mean, it's all subjective, I suppose. It's got a 80% Rotten Tomato score and a 69 Metacritic, and a 69 Metacritic isn't horrible at all. It's a good film. By John, by critical standards.
That's 1 point from a 70.
Yeah.
Which is what we gave Resident Evil
and Kingdom Hearts.
Right.
Which is hilarity. I did I don't remember if I mentioned last week that speaking of Netflix, that I started watching Umbrella Corporation.
Did you finish it?
I didn't finish it because the first episode put me to sleep.
Really?
Which then I go to work the next day and I talk to people and they're like, several people are like, you got to give it a chance, right? Yeah. It starts slow, but it picks up. So I did, and now I'm like on episode.
Is you enjoying it?
Yeah,
cool.
It's good stuff.
I'm watching I Am the Night.
Umbrella Academy or Corporation?
A Corporation, I believe.
That sounds familiar.
It's about the Black Dahlia murder.
Okay.
Or at least it's about the family that is whose patriarch, as we say, is most likely suspected for the murder of the Black Dahlia. In fact, congruently, I'm listening to the podcast Root of Evil, which is also about the Hodel family. Dr. something Hodel was a prominent physician in Los Angeles at the time that the Black Dahlia was killed, and he's highly suspected of committing that crime, as well as other crimes. In fact, his son, Steve Hodel, became a police detective, and later in life has written a couple of books about how his dad was actually the murderer.
Ooh.
It's fascinating stuff. It's the one. It's from Wonder Woman director who was Patty Duke.
Patty Jenkins.
Patty Jenkins.
Yeah.
And Chris Pine's in it.
Oh.
So I mean, it's pretty solid.
Chris Pine.
It's pretty solid.
I like Chris Pine.
Yeah, he's good.
The other thing with the Oscars, like trailers, there was a lot of things that intrigued me. There was the trailer for Lion King finally.
They put trailers in the Oscars?
Yeah, because they realized there's going to be like 30 million people watching. So they're like, why not?
Cool.
And it's about, I don't know if you know this, it's about movies. So, it's kind of like a target audience.
No,
right?
it's kind of a Game Awards response. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, here's what's coming next.
It's not much, but
World premiere.
Like they had the big one, I think, was The Lion King, which was pretty much what you expect. It's it's that tease of recreation from the original. And it did not have the controversies that the Aladdin preview had with the genie there. There was none of that. Everyone was just like, all right, that looks like Lion King. Looked pretty good. But they had that. And then Martin Scorsese apparently has a film coming this fall that's got called Irishman. And it's got De Niro, Pacino, Pesci.
Pesci's in it?
Yeah.
Is this a spoof?
No, I think
they're all going to die.
Pesci's in it.
It's fine.
I mean, I guess it's.
I love Joe Pesci.
Yeah, but no one's going to live through that movie.
Yeah. Did you not see what happened the last time Pesci dealt with Irishmen?
Yeah. He got thrown into a grave.
Right.
Cool,
but
man.
Yeah, I hope that's good.
I'm glad the ratings were up this year for Oscars. That's good.
Sure.
That's
like I
good.
said, they know what to do if they want higher ratings. Like, I guarantee you, like I said, if this fall or next year they said like Star Wars is getting nominated, Marvel's Endgame is getting nominated, they have like 30 million people watch, right? And especially if like there's some, I don't know, Lin-Manuel musical for Disney, or Frozen 2 comes out and there's like a great song that gets nominated for an award, they will get tons of ratings. That's just the way
we'll see. Like I said, the last time I tuned in for him was during one of our friends get-togethers where we do a poll of guess who's going to win. And
yeah.
I don't watch them.
No, you don't. It's fun.
Boo.
It's an acquired taste.
I could say so many things.
Yeah.
I'm just messing, Chris.
Nah.
Love you, buddy.
No, I don't.
Nah.
If someone says they're not going to watch a 4-hour telecast, I'd be like, I do not blame you. You guys?
Say, no, it's not relevant.
Okay.
Well, I do that all the time. I literally halted the podcast a minute ago because my thought was there and went away.
Well, I went to see, my uncle is from California. He was visiting, and I was warned that you might want to come see your Uncle Bill this weekend because there's a chance he has to leave Tuesday because his wife's having a procedure that she's a little concerned about. I'm like, great. So I'll just move some things around and I'll go to my parents' house this weekend. So I show up Saturday morning and walk into the church where my Uncle Bill is doing some construction work for them. And he said, "Hey man, it's good to see you. Gotta head back to California now." So I saw him for 2 hours and
that's it.
Wasted.
Hey, you didn't waste. You didn't waste.
Well, I guess not.
Poor choice of words.
I see your point, but Aiden had a rock climbing event that day. I saw that. And I missed that.
He free climbed.
He's getting tall.
My parents knew he was leaving when he did, and they didn't bother to tell me because I think they just wanted me to come to the house to see them. So selfishly, they had an angle there. So.
But you got your revenge because you made your dad watch Abducted in Plain Sight.
Yeah, I did. And my dad is a Baptist preacher.
Yeah, you told us the backstory.
So he's watching it, and every time somebody would say something shocking, which was every 2 minutes, he'd look at me. and he's like,
did you stare at your dad and go,
is he punking me or something?
Is this real?
Is this real?
Did he look at you and he was like shocked? And did you look at him and go, "Do you need some relief, Dad?"
I showed him a bunch of memes.
Did you see the Abducted in Plain Sight pops?
Yeah. That was the reliever.
I want them.
Please be real. Please be real.
HBO, by the way, is having a documentary, 4-part documentary, come out next month on Adnan from Serial.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'd watch that.
So I was like,
are there any updates?
I don't know.
I haven't tuned in a while.
I don't think it's with Serial.
No, because you gotta have milk.
See what I did there?
Well, I will.
That's my podcast DJ horn.
I will get your HBO Go code and watch that.
Oh, will you?
Ooh. When you get it to me.
Cool? Yeah,
all right, cool.
Got it.
You're not allowed to have it.
Boo
you.
So
this HBO does not go across state line.
Rumor has it we played a game this week.
Yeah, that's the rumor.
What we played a game?
Well, I guess did you? Yeah, you didn't.
I wouldn't have played that game.
There was an idea of me playing a game, and it lasted till about.
Don't shut yourself off to new experiences, Sean. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm pulling them down now. Let's do this.
There was an idea of me of playing a game, and it ended at 11:59 p.m. on Thursday.
Yeah. Chris, I think I saw you fired up last night.
I accidentally turned it on.
That's funny. That's funny. That's funny.
I don't know if you know this, but there was a game that came out this weekend. It's freaking amazing.
What's that?
Oh, we're going to talk about that maybe next week, right?
Oh.
Maybe.
So, am I the one just doing most of the talking?
Yeah.
Hey, I got perspective.
We got some things,
yeah.
and I probably won't. If I didn't compliment you last week, right? I'm complimenting you now because you really do hold a good
Richard.
You hold my Richard when you ask.
You're a good reliever.
You really do pose good questions during our review sometimes.
Thank you.
To keep the conversation going, you think about what the listener might be thinking of. And
I don't care about.
Let's go to the next segment because I don't like all this praise of John.
Let's go to the secret recordings of Chris when the mics are quote unquote off.
Yes.
That's what you think.
You about a size 13?
Would you? All right, let's do it.
I'd do me.
Topic time. The topic is...
That was ridiculously close to me dropping an F-bomb. Had no idea you did
That's
the countdown.
topic. Let's talk about how Sean
Almost dropped an F-bomb.
and does it repeatedly every 5 seconds of his life.
Good times.
You know that thing where you simulate the dropping the F-bomb where you say it
Yeah.
and then you say the end of it and you
like,
leave the middle out?
Like, dude, you said it.
I can't do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
I would get it.
He's too
I would
close.
mess up.
That's too close.
But you're just...
Yeah. I'm not doing it right now.
Please
No.
do it for me.
No.
Show it.
Anyway.
I feel the ears of several hundred people listening.
Several hundred people.
That would be a weird experience to have.
What?
The ears of 100 people. I don't
That's
like
Hundreds.
yeah, 100.
That-
Millions.
Assuming everyone had 2 ears of 100 people, Chris.
Thousands and thousands of
That's-
years.
That would be 200.
Yeah.
So what are we playing?
Oh yeah, the topic
Playing
is
Anthem, Apex Legends. Oh, no?
the topic is Metro Exodus.
And just so I'm clear, when do we talk about Far Cry New Dawn?
Never, unless you want to talk about it after next
Unless
week.
you want to make this a combo show.
I mean, we could shelve this game if you want. We'll just talk about Anthem.
We're kidding. We're kidding.
And
Uh,
Giggle.
are you playing it too?
What?
And,
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh,
It's amazing. You need to be playing it.
what
It's
level are you?
fantastic. I don't know.
levels.
I really don't know. I haven't done I think I'm like a 6 or 7.
I've seen your power level.
You haven't.
I have.
No, you haven't.
Shows it on your friends list. You're effed. I hit max level today.
Well, Chris,
by the
you
way.
haven't. You took PTO. This is all you do. You consume. You're like a black hole when it comes to a game you want to play. You consume everything about it.
Actually,
Everyone around you doesn't see you.
I had 2 enablers, and they joined me in the black hole.
So speaking of Metro,
We weren't.
another reason why I was ever so slightly perturbed by this weekend is because I had
The thing.
I had some I needed to put some time into this game.
You already have though.
Yeah, I
was
didn't
perturbed
finish
too.
it though. I didn't finish it or get close to finishing.
Or out of the tutorial. But
I'm about.
talk about it. For
I'm a couple hours past the halfway mark. If I'm gonna put down,
I got to.
So you haven't just put the tip in,
Yeah.
but you're not quite on base, right?
It's something like that.
I got to Thursday at 11 p.m. and I just stared at this. It's like it's not your fault.
It's
you didn't do
not.
anything wrong. There's something I got to go do, and we're going in 2 different directions.
I'm gonna let
You're
you
I
going
was,
down the
I was
string.
actually surprised you bought this game.
to begin with.
Yeah,
Well, I've played in spurts the first 2 Metro games, and like for one thing, if you want something that definitely has story to it and a sense of environment, and like like we are going for a very specific thing.
play something else.
Yeah, we're not going for like. We're not trying to be Call of Duty. We're not trying to be the most accessible.
Right.
Just jump in, you'll be fine, right?
Right.
We are making something that is based on novels, and we are trying to be very much in honor of those. Kind of like, to another extent, even though it ended up being a much bigger game, Witcher, right? I think those games are the same way. Like, look, we don't care if you find this dialogue weird and all that. This is that world.
Sure.
So I've always respected, but the part that's been the hard part for me and why this one had much more appeal, and I think you would agree with this, like those games are much more go down the first two are go down the dark corridors, very confined levels and things like moving to it, and then you get narrative and perspective of what's going on.
Definitely for the most part.
Versus this, which is like that for maybe the first 30 minutes as you do the tutorial, and then afterwards it's like, all right, we're moving to open world, and not open world, not Far Cry open world, right? But we're moving to the kind of, I would say, Tomb Raider open world. Like, here's a big open space. Go do things that you need to do to accomplish, and understand that, while there might be a straight line to something, there are things to go off the path for, and anything can happen at any point, right?
Well, one of the things that's pretty brilliant about this game is they're deciding to do something completely new with, like you said, these open areas, and like you said, they're not open world, but they're extremely open areas and
large.
And larger maps. But what it also does is it still retains a level of claustrophobia in certain aspects of the game. Like let's say you're still in that snowy area of open. You're like in the second act. Mm-hmm. In the third act, there's that more confined level where you're going through corridors and you're taking out enemies. It's not an open area, but then the third act opens up again, but within those confines of these open areas are these isolated areas that you have to go through. I actually my final play last night when I died, I just put the controller down, because the one thing I hate about these Metro games, and it's not a technical thing I hate, but it's just the fact that the spiders in these games, I can't take it. It's so, especially when we got headphones on.
Yeah.
And you hear them.
It's a good way to play
You
this
hear
game,
them
too.
crawling up and down the walls, and you start swatting at your back.
So they don't sound like skullduggeries from the old Zelda Ocarina of Time?
No.
They're not that cute, and like you can't wait to go find it and get
skullduggeries. No. But this, like Chris said, this is this series. I think started on the Xbox 360. I think it was an Xbox 360 exclusive.
Might have been on PC as well.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
So makes sense, Microsoft and all.
It was Metro
PC, way for the future.
Metro 2033 came out in the 360 era. Last Light, I think, came out in this generation, but it was sort of a cross.
Yeah, if I recall, Last Light,
cross-generational.
I want to say Last Light came out like that first year of the launch of PS4 and Xbox One, and then they put the remastered of both of them out. Mm-hmm. But really, you could see the huge jump with the Last Light, because they basically brought the PC version over. I think the following year, or the year after that.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of the series that are highly underrated, in my opinion, as far as shooters go. Mm-hmm. The first game, you can go back and play it. It definitely shows its age, but the environments and the characters and the atmosphere still shine through as an enjoyable experience. The shooting mechanics in that game is where it really just kind of shows its age. The second one, Metro Last Light, is one of my favorite shooters of this generation. It's clean, it's precise, it's like an earlier version of Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
9! Yeah, it really ramps up the action as far as opposed to the suspense. Sorry, but like Chris said, all these are confined. You're in the Metro, and for context, for anybody who doesn't know, because these aren't hugely popular games, it takes place in post-apocalyptic Russia.
Mother Russia,
and survivors of the nuclear war. Any survivors managed to make it down into the metro railway system in Moscow. And so people in this series are surviving and living out their days in the Metro, as they call it. And the Metro is basically an underworld world with different cities and locations, things like that. So this game opens up where the main character Artyom has this feeling that there's this other world outside the metro. Mm-hmm. He's just got this gut feeling, and everybody calls him crazy.
Well, wasn't
and all this
there
stuff.
like a thing at the end of the last one where he heard he believed for a second that he heard a transmission come across, and then like everyone
that's if you get the good ending.
Yeah, like everyone was like, basically everyone's like, nah, man, you're dreaming. There's no one else.
Yeah,
there's us.
Both
and Nazis and communists apparently.
The endings I got in both games, let's just say, aren't canon.
Yeah, okay.
So, but anyway,
do you have played both of these games? And a lot of times when I'm listening to you guys review a game that I haven't touched or don't know about, I actually pull up information like a wiki page or what have you. And it looks like this picks right up where that last game left off, like Chris was saying.
Yeah, a couple of years after. But
do you feel so far in your playthrough that you really needed to have played this previous game to enjoy this one?
Not at all.
It's not like a Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, let me put this in perspective. Like I said, I've played both of the two games because they're on Games Pass, so I've dabbled with them. But I have not beat any of the first two games, and I'm not surprised John did, because I think they're definitely something that is very much up his personality and what he enjoys, like from past experiences. As soon as I start playing,
I love Russia.
Yeah, you love Russia. You can see it from your house.
Is it Dying Light-ish? No.
No.
Okay.
No.
But
Move on.
But anyways, after coming off something like Kingdom Hearts, basically being able to just read a couple of things and watch the opening video of this game, I was like, okay. I know 95% of what I need here, and the little details. It was kind of like Witcher 3, right? Like when I went to that, I played a little bit of Witcher 2, did not beat it, did not play the first Witcher, and I got into that game and I was like, okay, there's a lot here, but it guided me, one, to things like that I needed to know, the core things, and two, as far as a story going into this game, it's focused. Like there is a very particular focus coming out the gate. Like RTM is trying to confirm this thing, right? As far as that, yes, there are more people out there, and everything that's going on in the beginning part, as far as his actions, is related to that, and the consequences of also too of his actions and things like that, and where it goes from there, all feels organic. Where you could easily pick this up and this be your first Metro game. You might not know every detail that you need to, but you could pull up a Wikipedia page, get the cliff notes, and you will be perfectly fine.
Good to go.
Or read the books.
That was the thing that I found intriguing. I didn't know that this was based on this guy's books.
Yeah, they're internationally best-selling.
Oh.
They're hard. They're hard to find.
It's great.
They're actually hard to find. In print. And when you do find them on Amazon, a lot of times they're sold out. I mean, these books are kind of in the popular zone.
When they say,
but why? Then why don't they print more?
I don't know.
I think it's more of like when they say internationally best-selling, it's probably more so like they're huge selling in Russia and what used to be the Soviet bloc, Eastern Bloc. Like that's
like, it's weird because
they can all relate to it, right?
The premise of this game is right up stuff I like.
Yeah.
But I've never played a Metro, so I did not care about playing this Metro. I remember you watching, and I know we watched it and we were texting and things before the show, but when we recorded our reaction to the E3 that year where they revealed the trailer, you were hyped.
Oh,
and I was like,
Oh, I was hugely excited for this game.
So, and now here we are. It's awesome.
So, but there's 3 books. There's Metro 2033, Metro 2034, and Metro 2035.
Which is basically what this is.
Roughly. I haven't dove into. I'm actually listening to the first book for the first time on Audible, so they're available on Audible.
I mean, I'm just going to put this out there. A little sidetrack. We would talk about Audible.com a lot more if they wanted us to. Just saying.
So
wait, can't do that.
So you basically find yourself in a situation where you end up leaving the Metro and you find out certain secrets that you didn't realize at first. So,
by the way, does it feel like the most Russian thing ever that when you leave, it's to take a train ride across Russia.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, this is how it should be done.
Something's wrong. I don't hear you through your mic.
Oh. Because I had myself muted.
Yep.
Did they catch that or did they?
No. Oh, I said, by the way, the best part about this game is that it's the most Russian thing ever that when you finally leave the metro, it's to take a train ride across Russia. Which, I mean, if you know anything about the history of that country, it just feels like that's appropriate to me.
So one of the things I like about this series, and I'm not against this in any way. I actually love this stuff. The power trip that you get from certain games where you just feel like a god. They call it the power fantasy.
Yeah.
That is completely absent in this game. It's you are using weapons that get the job done. Pretty much. You're not going to get a BFG gun. It's just not going to happen.
Like the fact of sensors, even your enemies, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of times the way they are going to detect you from sneaking around is it's simply strings with cans on them.
Right.
Which is makes sense. It's like true, low security.
Even the pictures you find in buildings of this desert wasteland are pictures of desert wastelands. I mean, it's just a completely miserable place, but beautiful. The game is very, very beautiful. I will say it's one of the prettiest games I've ever seen.
What is that?
That's my neighbor.
Okay.
Going
cool.
up the stairs.
Got it.
No.
One of the prettiest games I've ever seen.
At the door.
But with a caveat, you can tell that it's a beautiful game with a lot of stitching on it. There's definitely a lot of stitching on it.
The best way I could describe it, we don't have these as much, right? But this is, to me, a high-class 2A game. And I don't say that
That's fair.
in any disrespect, but it's when Ubisoft makes a game, right? When they're making Assassin's Creed, they're making their next one now. It's not coming, this fall, but probably the next fall.
Do me a favor.
There is a million, 1,000 studios that are touching this game to some extent. If they need someone to render this one brick in this one city to look better, they have someone 24/7 that can do that job for them. This is made in a vacuum of there's probably at most 100 people who work at this studio. And it's look, we don't have unlimited funding. We can't afford to make our own engine or anything else. We have to deal with what we have.
Oh, it's a new engine.
Yeah. And the big thing is regardless, the game's got to come out on this date. We as a company don't have that luxury to make something that we just sit around like Rockstar.
Do me a favor though. Because I want to find out if this was just in my game randomly. And for all I care, you can fire it up now. You're in that area still, the snowy area. I want you to walk as far as you can on the railroad tracks to the north.
Okay.
I walked as far as I could, and literally,
he glitched.
They just stopped writing code. There's two men off the embankment of the railroad track, just standing there with their hands to the side like this. Mm. I tried to engage them and knock them out. Nothing would happen. They're just standing there. They're not talking to you.
That's fine.
And then half of a mountain is cut in half. It's literally they stopped writing code for the rest of it.
Well, that's where the map ends. Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, but you know how you see that decorative, graphics mountain ranges out in the distance that you can't touch.
You're saying it's a lie?
They just stopped. It's like you were in the middle of the Matrix and they just ran out of space. But as far going back to not feeling overpowered or that power fantasy, one of the key differences in this game that was more prevalent in the first two was the first two games had sort of an economy with an in-game currency, and it's kind of hard to explain. Bullets were in-game currency, but these bullets that you use for currency were separate from ammunition that you got, so they weren't the same thing. So you would buy weapons with these bullet currency you find in the world, and you would augment and upgrade these weapons with that money.
Versus this is much more. I guess the best way to describe it would be, Fallout. I think it's look, go out here and find this gun that has certain attachments, take it off, use it as you want on the things. The one thing I do have a problem with the guns, by the way, while I've enjoyed them, and there are certain ones that I've definitely been more, I would say, favoring than others, right? Like I got one that basically turned my gun into a high power sniper rifle, but with better reload times. The one thing is that it's not necessarily clear when you're just searching what is what and like at its base level, like what you're working with and what, like until you actually open up the book bag. Like, so there are times that I just see a gun and I don't know if it's new or not. I just take the pieces off and I keep what I have and you know, keep moving on. And when I have time, I go like, okay, do I have some we're switching out for this gun, instead of, you know, actually having an idea of like, this is something different than what I've already got, and it may be more powerful than what I already got.
I've had no problem recognizing or spotting new weapons, but I can completely understand that perspective.
Because like
when you
most
see
of these
a weapon
things are like a pistol that's been highly modified
and you
to
can
be
see,
something else.
but you can see the highlights in orange.
Yeah, and I guess it's just like, I'm like, I don't know
if that's a completely new weapon or not.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the same pistol that I'm using now that's been modified or not.
Yeah.
And it's, you know.
Sean, the crazy thing about the weapons in here, you could take a pistol and augment it into a shotgun. Or at least a rifle.
I don't like that.
You can just
like the basic shotgun.
It's actually designed, in my opinion, to where you're just really never fully satisfied with the weapon you have.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. It would drive me crazy.
Nothing's broke. Everything does the job just fine. But it really wants you to experience. It wants you to experience a difficult and harsh world where, you know, getting the BFG is just never going to be your option.
There's the best way I could describe it is in the open, I find myself running because I don't want to waste ammunition or tools on the mutant wildlife that's around me.
Sure.
Right. And I'm always, before I take off running, I'm always scouting in advance to be like, okay, that's where those things are. Need to avoid that path. I need to go this way instead. And then when I'm in environments with humans, which are usually very close quarters or like, you know, gas stations or something, I'm very slow and precise of what I'm doing, because it's a game that, you know, very much like something like Dishonored or whatever, it rewards your stealth abilities, but it's not going, or shoot, I'll even go to the level somewhat of Metal Gear, right? Like where being slow and methodical is very much rewarded. The difference being here, unlike Metal Gear, I think, or Dishonored, if I get into a pickle in those, I can find my way out. You come into a pickle in this game, you better hope that you have enough ammunition. You better hope that you have the right gun and setup, and that you have an idea of where everyone is, because it can go bad real quickly. And you're going to waste a lot of resources getting the hell out of Dodge. Like, it's even better sometimes, I would say, to just run away if you're being caught and be like, okay, I'm doing this. Though the one part of stealth that could be better, I think, is the takedowns. They're not as satisfying as I'd hope they would be. Yeah.
Well, you know, you're not very good at stealth.
I'm very good at stealth.
Yeah, he's a self-proclaimed god of stealth.
But you know, some people might claim, you know, where's the option to go to my map, set a marker, and head towards that marker. In this game,
nope.
Design, but to me, that's a design choice. It's been with the series from the get-go. It wants you to experience the annoyance of not necessarily, you know.
I get that, but sometimes this very show has really hammered games who don't adjust to the current times of things that we're used to.
Let me just clarify. You have a map, like you pull up this clipboard that has a map kind of taped to it. They give you, every time you go to a new area, they give you a new map to the area. And so you hear yourself writing on it and doing all this stuff. What it makes you do, though, is it just makes you hold up the map where you're looking at it. And you flip it over and you can see what your current mission is, but you flip it back over. The only thing, and you see where you are and you see where your goal is, but it doesn't necessarily set the marker so you could just go there in a straight line.
So it works.
It works just fine, but it's not some sort of GPS.
It's like
it tells you where you are in the map, and you start walking towards that area, and then you look at the map again, and maybe you're 20 degrees off the mark, and you need to readjust. So
that could be fun.
Look, I played 2 games in the past week, and both of them do not have the ability when in the open world to ping a location on a map.
Yeah.
There was one I was a lot more upset with that ability being in it, and it was not this one.
It was not Metro. I get you.
Yeah. It felt very much like, right. And I was like, yeah, you know what? There's no, this is supposed to be real world.
It's
sure, it doesn't go to the level of maybe like some parts of Fallout where like you're starving, or like Red Dead, right, where like you got to feed yourself and all that, or make sure you have the right clothing.
You have to feed yourself in Red Dead?
You do. With liquor and bubble baths.
Nice.
And there's also side missions to this game, but in order to do the side missions, you have to pay attention to what people are saying around you.
Yeah.
It doesn't just
like that little girl's
file, go get my teddy bear, and hey, I heard this guitar playing in the world, somewhere out in the distance. It doesn't file this stuff in your menu screen. It does, as you talk to people, add little question marks to your map that you can go check out. But it's one of those things design wise where it's giving you a lack of convenience without it feeling like a butchering chore.
Correct.
I'm not saying it's simple.
And I think it works because, it's not so much when we say open world, it's not an open world game in the sense of like people come out of the bunker and fall out, and, they say, all right, your first quest is this direction. And you go, that's fine. I'm going left and I'm going to find my own path and like story and world, right? It's not that. It works because you have all these limited tools, fine. But for the most part, if you want to get the objective, you can see the way to it. You can figure it out, and like you're just like, okay, I'm walking, and sure, maybe as I'm walking, I see this little hut right here, so I stop to check to see if there's gear for me and crafting stuff to pick up. But for the most part, I know where I'm going, and I would say it's not too often. I didn't find myself going like literally, all right, let's start at this edge of the map and go left to right, and then back right to left, and keep going down. It's more of like, no. That's where I'm supposed to get to. That's where the issue is. It's just like, what's the right path to take to it? Yeah. That's not going to kill me.
Yeah. And one of the things it does a lot better in this game is how you craft. You have to, in the previous games, you have to wait to get to a merchant at some point in the game to get what you need and move on about your business. And because it's not an open world, you can't necessarily go back to that vendor. Mm-hmm. This game, it gives you 2 options for crafting. It gives you more of a simplistic crafting option by giving you this backpack where you can open up and you can craft certain types of tools. It's not the entire package,
like your health,
yeah,
your gas mask,
But that makes sense because you are post-apocalyptic and it's a wasteland. It'd be really weird if you just had like a satchel of good stuff.
The only things you need the workbench for are basically gun modifications,
and cleaning your weapons.
Yeah, cleaning your weapons and then creating ammo outside of one gun,
and then augmenting your body armor and stuff like that. But the convenience of the backpack, I really like it because you can find yourself in a jam, and as long as you have materials, which still are scarce in the world, admittedly, but as long as you have materials in the middle of a firefight, you can craft you some medical supplies to heal you up. Mm-hmm. So it's the game is punishing, but it's fair, in my opinion.
For the most part, yeah.
That being said, to me, and this has always been the way the series is. I get that, but sometimes you're in this cutscene, quote unquote, or just interacting with people, and people all over the place are just constantly talking. So it can be very difficult to focus in on the priority speaker, the one you're supposed to be listening to, because people are just all over the place chatting. Yeah. If you turn your head, and in a way, this is kind of cool, realistic wise.
Oh my God!
If you turn your head, the sound of the primary speaker's voice starts to cadence off.
I like that.
And so if you're not careful, you can completely miss a lot of dialogue.
I like that a lot.
Do you have your subtitles turned on?
Well, they recommend letting them speak in Russian and have English subtitles, but I do have subtitles, but those subtitles they've always been this way. They've always been in red and just a little bit harder to read. They're a little bit small. It's a minor gripe. Major gripe, and I will give them some credit for how they manage it. It's constantly freezing on me. I say constantly. It's froze up on me probably 6 times in the entire game,
so annoying. Yeah.
And I have to restart the game. But
It's a long load.
It is a long load and a big load. I will give them credit for making the game constantly save automatically.
Yeah,
you go to an area, it'll save, and then you walk 10 feet and it'll save. So if you get locked up and frozen out of the game, pretty much most of the time when you go back into the game, you're right where it froze.
True.
So it's for that, I appreciate them adding that into the game where it's constantly saving for you.
Really, the only things I don't like, it does have long loads, and it's really weird because I mean, the game we're playing next week or talking about next week has
the biggest loads of all time.
No, they're not. I wouldn't say they're quite as bad as this, but there's definitely some loading, or for instance, like for instance, you go into something like Destiny. Destiny had a good bit of load times too, or whenever you fire up GTA or Red Dead, that initial load is like almost 2 minutes, but it's because they're loading in this enormous game. So that is a little bit of a pain when you die. The other side of it, as far as the fact that you don't have a lot of resource, the one thing I don't like is early on, especially, you're going to find yourself having to use the butt of your gun to basically melee things. And doesn't feel that effective or good at aiming to me. And it's really weird because as you're going around the world, right, you have this option, right? You have, when you stealth take out people, you can either just knock them out, or you also have a knife. And I'm kind of like, why can't I use this knife on this huge freaking creature that's trying to maul me to death? It seems like that might be a little bit more effective and easier to aim, and like to actually have it in my hand, right, and be able to see it so I can guide it to where I want it to be, than just pounding the back of my rifle, because literally I have 3 bullets left and I don't want to waste them on this dog that's in front of me that's mutant and trying to take my neck.
Well, if you have the knives on you, you can just throw the knife at them.
No, I don't mean like those knives. I mean like the actual knife, yeah.
Combat knife.
Yeah.
Well, if they jump on you, that's when you have the option to knife them. But I see your point.
Yeah.
You'd rather just sneak up on them and do
exactly.
it. Sneak up on a 150-pound mutant and take it down stealthily.
Hey, man.
That's real.
I'm Artyom.
It is.
I'm very important.
Speaking of the stealth, there's choice in the game. It's a little subtle. For example, there's different endings to this game that I haven't yet seen. I'm going for the good ending, and the good ending is dictated by
not killing
side quests you do for people that are completely optional. You don't have to do them. When you get into a firefight and after you kill so many people, soldiers start to surrender. Mm-hmm. And at that point, you can walk up to them and knock them out or kill them. And the ending is based on moral choice. How you handle that type of approach also goes a long way to determining what kind of ending you get. So that's something to consider when playing this game. But overall, I think Chris is on the money when he says it's a very well done AA game.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think this is going to be a game, like, I understand why it's never going to be a game that when it comes out, it's the biggest selling thing, I think, right? I'd be very surprised.
It is sold
well.
Twice as many as the previous game. So it's doing well.
But it's still, I think, like, even though it came out, right, it finished second that week, still to Far Cry Dawn, on its first, at least in the UK, right, which is the one place we can look at. Which is fine. That's great. Like, right, Far Cry is much bigger franchise.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, this is a game that I think if you're a fan of, like I said, something like Metal Gear or even Dishonored or back in the day Thief and all that kind of stuff, and you also like have the blues from Fallout 76 from this past fall, this might be the game for you to go check out, because I think even though it's not the full, as we said before, it's not that full, freedom to go do whatever you want and make your own narrative thing. It is very well put together for what it is. And whether you eventually get this on Game Pass, because I'm sure the first two are in Game Pass, I imagine this one at some point will come to it, or you just wait till there's a sale one day, in the fall, and you see this game is like $25-$30. It's pretty hard to say you're not going to get your money's worth if you like this kind of thing. I don't think it's, if you're the Call of Duty guy or even the Battlefield guy, I'd say this probably isn't for you. But if you like a shooter that requires a little bit more thought and also a little bit more morality behind your choices, this is definitely something that should be a game that you check out, and give a shot to.
I'll be honest with you. It wasn't until I got towards the end of the first area of the map that I was really digging this game. I just wasn't feeling it. I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. I'm not very fast. I don't, there's something about being in confined spaces with
Things
Artyom.
you normally don't say.
Thanks, man. Just being in those confined spaces, you felt a little bit more in control. And this open environment, I just wasn't in the type of control I liked. So that was all issues on my part. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of this game if I like this game more than I liked Last Light. But that's saying a lot.
I've got to find time to play this game.
At
some point
I'm thinking I want to play it at some point too, and it might be when that sale happens.
Yeah, I got to fire up Far Cry.
To touch back on the units that Chris brought up about its sales, it sold 2,000 units less, just 2,000 than Far Cry did in their release months.
And that's solid.
That's solid, but it has sold, per Wikipedia, 50% more copies than Last Light.
Yeah,
there you go.
So that's good. And it's also, and we're getting close, obviously, to a Richard by Jon.
Oh,
we're getting close, but it's got really good reviews out there. Nothing really, it's all around the 80s and stuff like that. So that's good, and like that just goes back to what Chris said. If this is going to be a really solid game if it's up your alley, and just hearing Jon and Chris talk about it, I'm really interested, and I'm wondering why I didn't play it. But
yeah,
there's a reason.
One of the other things I do enjoy about this game, and I think a lot more from the first two, this train that you're going on the whole entire time kind of acts as a hub in a way, right? And it reminds me a lot of, like, if you've played Mass Effect and all that, going back to the Normandy, it's like, even though you can't have tons of conversations by choice and you can't decide everything you say or whatever, right? Like in those conversations, how you influence them. It's fun to go back to the train and to talk to all these people and hear their different stories and hardships and joys and all that, like from the mother and daughter you first pick up to the dude who's the engineer on the train and all that, to Captain Miller himself. Like, all of that is very interesting, and I always appreciate when you can do that well in a game, because I don't think it's easy. Like, it's really hard to have someone say a bunch of exposition to you and to make a connection and make it work. Like, it's why the company's game that we're talking about next week usually is the reason why I love all their games so much, is I feel like they do it better than anyone else. But, I appreciate that. So the one thing I think that's going to pull me back if I do end up coming back to finish this when I find time one day far in the future, is going to be that personal relationship, because I've played plenty of stealth shooters, but I like this. It's an interesting narrative, and it has interesting character stories that, whether it's post-apocalyptic or not, I just don't think you see a lot in Western stories. You're not going to see tons of stories about struggling Russians here, unless I guess we're talking about the Cold War or something. But that really perked my interest, and my hope is, who is it that bought them? THQ, right? If look, they've been this small studio making solid games for a while now. I would love it. You know, THQ Nordic is trying to make a big declaration, buying up all these things and studios and all that. If they were going to go in on a studio and say, okay, you've done your Metro trilogy, what's an original idea you want to do? And we can give you a lot more resource than you've ever had before to realize, right? What is it? And let's go make that game. Because I would love to see what these guys could put out. I think they could make something amazing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Do you have a Richie Poo?
I'm gonna say this is very much preliminary because, of course, I'm admittedly early in this game. I just did not have a lot of time to get to it. I did not have a lot of time to get to it this week, and then Friday a thing came in my life, and it's probably going to be there till I play Sekiro at the end of the month.
Oh man,
you're not going to play Yoshi or
I'm sorry, Division. When Division comes out, that'll probably be the Switch that happens. We'll see. But not on that console because it's not.
Boo! You didn't have to do that. You suck.
You didn't have to. It wasn't necessary. You didn't have to.
I just didn't want them to.
You said Switch. See, and I said it. Now we got to.
You didn't have to do that.
We just want to see you, Richard.
Yeah. I'm gonna say preliminary right now is around an 8.5. I think it's a solid game. I think it's fun to play.
Okay.
And I think it's really well made for the resources. It's not like it's some small stylistic game that like someone sat hours and hours and could perfect, right? Like, no. It's like you're on a budget with a medium sized studio and you have a date you've got to hit. This is about the best you could ask for something like this, for it being this big open world. And John's right. Like the lighting system in this game is beautiful. It's a little bit more blurry up close, but when you look at things from afar, you're like, that's some great setting right there. Like this feels like a real place. So
I agree, but I would say my 8.5 is a lot higher than his 8.5. Just kidding.
Oh, it's got to be better.
But if you, I highly recommend this game to anybody who is just kind of tired of the open world shooter formula or is looking for something new and unique to the first person shooter formula in general. I think if you've never played a Metro game, you might find this is something you haven't really experienced before. Mm-hmm. Kudos to 4A and Deep Silver. They put out a good title, and they should be proud of this trilogy. I'm glad they got 3 games.
Kudos to you.
Yeah.
Putting the time in really to get a good thing.
Yeah.
As far as a review and some gameplay opinions on this game, man.
They never give me kudos for putting in the time. I hate you.
Awkward.
Hate you so much. You guys want to do some news?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Hot off the press and straight to your ears. Weekly Games Chat presents the news.
There was so much peak. It was pretty.
Yeah.
It made a nice little cascade.
You were so many needles to our balloon just then. And PD numbers leading this thing off for January. Nintendo, or as my grandma called it, a Tindle, she didn't know how to say that.
Again, a console without division. I just don't want people to be confused.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Go for it, Sean.
Did you hear the proverbial brakes just starting on this?
Somebody's typing away as we speak.
I'm in a good mood. I'm reading things. And I'm not.
I'm coming for your heart.
Nintendo led in January for both hardware and software sales.
What was that word again?
January. The Switch was the only console to show a year-on-year increase for dollar and unit sales, despite an overall decrease in the industry by 28%. That's just under 30%. Kingdom Hearts 3 was the best-selling game of the monthly, outselling. I'm just reading what's there, people. Terrible. Outselling it. Predecessor with a 2.5 or 2.5 times increase in dollar sales. The game was the fastest selling in this franchise, shipping over 5 million in 1 week.
Sean, what'd they do to their sales?
They doubled it.
With 0.5.
Yeah. They double 0.5 it. Double. Here's your top 10 selling games. Do we go from bottom up when I do it?
Yeah, reader's choice.
Yeah, we do. Number 10, the greatest game of all time, Grand Theft Auto 5.
I feel like if it's January, February, June, July, I just know what's going to be on this list somewhere.
Number 9, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Number 8, NBA 2K19. That's Chris's jam. VR
Level 91.
A VR title that Ryan Leaf of the show at number 7. It had VR in it. It was VR capable. Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown.
I will pick that game up at some point. I've played every Ace Combat game.
Yeah. Number 6, Chris's favorite game ever, Red Dead Redemption 2. Number 5, the game I used to own but no longer do, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. That's because I traded it in for Anthem. Number 4, Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Number 3, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Number 2, the next 2 games, the games we give like 5s, Resident Evil 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3 rounds off at number 1. And that is your MPD number for January. John, thoughts?
Call of Duty is clearly outselling Red Dead right now.
So, when you get that huge advantage from the beginning. But it won't sell in this month because now everyone's playing Apex.
Yeah, true.
I've played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games on that list.
I've played at some point all but 1 on that list.
Ace Combat, right?
Yeah.
I look at Ace Combat and I thought today, I'm like, that's got to be a title that Sean could really sink his teeth into.
No,
It's like it has a story.
Because Sean has a need. A need for speed.
I hate flying games.
Okay, man.
I hate them. It's so stupid.
It's like they have a pretty basic story to them. Like it's always like a leader that's invading your land and you're going out there to defend it, right? But if you like dogfights, I mean, that is your game. Like,
that's the thing that I don't like at all.
They're fun. They definitely require skill.
Do you guys remember a console, right? A little hidden gem called the Nintendo.
Yes.
The NES, if you will.
Yeah. On that system and around that time was a movie out starring Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer. It was called Top Gun.
Goose.
That was a horrible game.
Was that the game where you had to land?
Yes.
And it was very hard to land?
Yes.
That's all I think about when I think of flying games.
It sucked.
You're like, okay.
For the longest time when I thought of flying games, it was on the SNES Pilot Wings.
Die.
And Chris, by the way, saying NES is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, it's acceptable, Chris.
SNES
Quit
is
being-
not acceptable.
Hey, word please.
Stick.
I'm a freedom marcher here, and I say what I want.
Fair enough, but
you're
you suck for it.
You're a stick.
You.
Ooh.
Oh, you can't take that back, Chris.
I don't have a caveat for this.
I don't want
Or a
your
pivot.
laugh.
We don't care about pivots. Just say it.
Microsoft
Yeah, that's perfect.
to show their hand at
Yeah,
E3,
this is
and
big
is it a rosy palm?
Well,
What?
We'll see.
New reports are suggesting that Microsoft will show off its new Xbox hardware platforms during E3 2019, and that Halo Infinite will launch with the console. According to the French site Je Video,
Yeah.
Project Scarlet family of next-gen hardware will allegedly be revealed at E3. The console is rumored to be released by the end of 2020. The site also reports that there will be 2 consoles, the weaker being Lockhart
That hurts.
and the more powerful Anaconda.
That's what I call my
There is also speculation that these will be announced alongside a partnership between Nintendo and Microsoft. There is also rumors that Halo will contain more RPG elements than previous titles in the series.
We'll see.
I can see that.
Yeah, we'll see.
I would hope for that. That'd be a nice change.
I mean, I felt that little tease last year.
It felt like
It
something,
almost like
felt like an
they're
open
like,
world.
yeah, we're making open world Halo.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
you're telling me I get to run around a whole Halo and just do things?
Well, side
I
note,
don't know how
because
that will be, but we'll see.
it's not going to be in our news anywhere. But I bought my my little girl the Switch edition of Minecraft.
You're accurate. That will not be in our news.
But it's really cool to see the Mario elements that's in it. It's kind of crazy.
It's briefly mentioned in our news.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Minecraft.
Yeah. Speaking of Minecraft,
But that before we go to that,
It's not. That's not next.
oh yeah. Well, there's the words right there.
You're so dumb.
But I don't think this is too big of a shock. I figured they were going to at least do something. Like how much they show is a big question. Like I doubt they're going to be like, here's the box and here's every spec that's in the box. They'll probably do something like before where they'll talk about next gen, what they're going for. And they'll have developers come out being like, we asked them they gave it to us for the Xbox One X and we asked them to go to a whole new level. And then they'll be like, 20 billion teraflops, and then
I feel like you've scaled down a little bit.
Oh well, they
I think we're in the trillions now.
No. They condense the teraflops.
Like the national debt, 22 trillion teraflops.
They condense them down, so now like 1 teraflop is like 5 billion teraflops of what was before.
I see.
So
That
20
makes sense
billion
now.
teraflops is just
because the
It's a
Xbox
lot.
is so powerful,
Yeah.
we could stream our podcast on it through Mixer. Chris, how about you? What you got to weigh in on that one?
I don't have a camera for this one.
I'm trying, John. Trying all angles. So, more news about Xbox. Xbox Games Pass is expanding. That's good news if you like the Games Pass. The Games Pass. Ooh, struggle bus. A new report suggests that Xbox Game Pass may be headed to the Nintendo Switch in the future.
The
future via streaming. That's without wires, John.
Thank you.
Game Informer and Direct Feed Games have reported that Microsoft is getting ready to make ports available to Nintendo Switch via its Project xCloud service. xCloud, which is not a porn site. This comes as no surprise, having the aforementioned Minecraft currently on Switch with Hellblade currently on its way. Firmer rumors. I'm stupid. Further rumors suggest that Ori and the Will of the Wisps may show its face on Nintendo's platform, which will be interesting if that happens, because that will be the greatest poop game of all time.
Well, just think, there's the talk of course, Xbox Live, right? Getting integration with Switch. So now you're talking about like Games Pass coming to Switch, and not for everything. I think like they're very realistic in saying like, look, we can't quite put yet, Halo and whatever the next Halo is, and stream that very well to the Switch device. But that's probably where they're going towards in a couple of years.
When Switch 2 comes out, Chris.
But like, for instance, imagine if you do own like an Xbox or you have a gaming PC and you have this game that I think will run perfectly fine on the Switch. If you're Microsoft, you're winning in two ways. One, you're helping your player base because you're basically saying now you're able to take Ori mobile. Like you can come home, play it on your Xbox One X, get the 4K resolution and all that kind of stuff. It looks pretty. It looks beautiful. And then when you're on the go, when you're on the train ride to work every day, you can pull out your Switch and keep
It's
your
like I'm there
going.
now.
Yeah. And more importantly for them, it gives you another reason to give them $9 a month to keep,
how does Nintendo win in this, Chris?
They win because it gets more games on their consoles, I think.
Well, thanks for mentioning how Nintendo wins, Xbox fanboy.
What if Project xCloud service is tethered to a higher powered Nintendo Switch?
I don't like that.
You see how that? That would be how Nintendo.
But you shouldn't need to, right?
Pushes. In theory, you don't.
Yeah,
it's how Nintendo pushes their new console. Because honestly, I think as the other two release new consoles, Nintendo's going to have to update the hardware
for sure.
That's fine.
I think
they're doing great, guys.
I agree.
The greatest thing that I think could happen is if these two companies then because I really do feel like Microsoft is kind of pushing to of like our future will be Games Pass. That's what we are trying to be. We are trying to be the one who sets the bar, and we are Netflix now. And who knows? Maybe in 5 years they don't put another console out. Maybe they just say we'll let whoever puts a console out if they want to do that. That's there. But we think the majority of people, they will be perfectly fine with just turning on their TV and getting a game that streams over the internet to them in 4K. The same, right?
The biggest announcement coming with this relationship is Phil Spencer's DNA has been spliced with Reggie's.
Right? Well, not
Reggie.
But
Reggie.
But the big thing here is like if you're Nintendo, it's kind of like you get the best of both worlds here, right? You get the ability to eventually, as this technology improves, to bring in things that you have had a problem getting on your console. Like if they can get Madden in there and they can get Division 3 or Destiny 3, whatever, someday, like if that's where they're eventually able to go, they get all of that, and they get to take on the other big Japanese company in the world in gaming in Sony. And if you're Microsoft, you're like, we get to partner up with Nintendo, who has the one thing we've been looking for all this time, which is love and nostalgia from the gaming public. So everyone wins in that combination, I think. But
because I don't like,
except for Sony. Sony loses.
Yeah,
Sean's mad.
I don't, because man, I don't know, man.
Would you rather be Amazon that takes them?
No.
Yeah, or Google?
You don't give me examples.
You get filled with Google.
Right, that win your argument. That's not fair.
Do you know what won't be included in xCloud?
God, John.
Boo.
Microsoft's HoloLens 2 will cost you. Microsoft has unveiled HoloLens 2, the newest version of the augmented reality headset. The cost of the device will be a measly $3,500 and will support Unreal Engine 4.
Chump change.
Exactly. The key focus of the device will be immersion, comfort, and an exaggerated time-to-value ratio. The company has doubled HoloLens' field of view while maintaining a holographic density of 47 pixels per degree of sight. I sound really smart. There is a new display system that achieves this at lower power and includes a new time-of-flight depth sensor for direct manipulation of holograms. On top of this, the device will have eye tracking and iris recognition for security. Clearly, the device pays for itself.
Indeed.
That being said, Microsoft is committed to making the device as affordable as possible as soon as possible.
Yeah, that means 2087.
Could be, man. Could be.
Our kids are going to have a blast with HoloLens 3.
Yeah.
It's going to be...
It's a cool device.
Dude,
Yeah.
I said at one point that would be the way I like it. Remember when we were talking about all the VR stuff coming out?
We know how you like it. What?
Yeah. Fast and rough. What?
Are you mad?
No. Why am I mad? What am I mad about?
Well, you said you were going to do it rough. You only do
Oh, but I'm not mad, but some folks be mad.
Thank you.
A group of employees has begun protesting the use of its HoloLens technology following a hefty contract with the United States Army.
Hooah!
Hooah! The group known as Microsoft Workers for Good posted an open letter on Twitter to Microsoft's Brad Smith and Satya Nadella.
He's the CEO.
Demanding the cancellation of the $479 million contract and stricter ethical guidelines. Quote, "We are alarmed that Microsoft is working to provide weapons technology to the U.S. military, helping one country's government increase lethality using tools we built. We did not sign up to develop weapons, and we demand a say in how our work is used. Finger waving and all," end quote. Microsoft has responded with the following statement. Quote, "We gave the issue careful consideration and outlined our perspective in an October 2018 blog. We always appreciate feedback from employees and provide many avenues for their voices to be heard. In fact, we heard from many employees throughout the fall. As we said then, we're committed to providing our technology to the U.S. Department of Defense, which includes the U.S. Army, under this contract. Also, we've said we'll remain engaged as an active corporate citizen in addressing the important ethical and public policy issues relating to AI and the military." At first, I thought that said Al. Thank God I fixed it. End quote.
See, Al.
I know.
Al
I was like, who the hell is Al?
I don't really see much validity behind their argument. It's just like, you're talking about Microsoft, one of the biggest corporations and tech companies in the world, who is pretty much, as far as I know, for as long as they've been around and making great software and such, made technology and software for the military. That's what they do, right?
Was there an outcry when they were using the Kinect for medical stuff?
Yeah. I mean,
there was outcry for that?
no,
An outcry?
no,
Well, you
I
said
doubt
yeah,
that.
because you have a.
I was more-
listen to what I said, Chris.
I was more so agreeing with you and like, yeah, you're right. There wasn't. Yeah.
So there's always going to be probably, I would say always probably. See what I did there? Oh, I said.
I see all of it.
All right.
Yeah.
There's going to be pushback, man, and
Yeah, someone's always going to disagree with something, a company's act. It's just something like this where you're like, look, man, Microsoft is not going to give up a contract like that. And I don't know what they're doing. Like, on one hand, if the military, I guess, is using it to spy on people, that would be concerning. But I don't think that's probably what they're doing. I would think they're going to use this in a perspective of like being able to have
Fly
a headset
drones
on.
or something like that.
Yeah, that or like to be able to have a headset on to basically have vision, all around you, a whole entire wall of different data you could view that would be limited if you gave someone a computer screen. So if you can perfect that and make high-end things, it could do great things for them.
Microsoft is a United States based thing, right?
Bill Gates.
Get Bill Gates in here. So they're going to be loyal to the United States government and its contracts if they're there, I guess. So I don't know where this will go from here.
Now, on the other hand, if our soldiers start wearing HoloLens to invade Sony in Japan and Nintendo, be like
the next Call of Duty,
right?
All
this
the
was the
soldiers
trade. This was the trade-off.
have HoloLens on.
We have secured Zelda. We have secured Zelda.
I got no beef with pacifists.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's I think that's where I was going to say that's exactly where this comes from. Some people don't like the idea of war and the need for an army and all of that stuff. It's fair.
I would just ask them to consider, and I don't know what this product is. Obviously, no one's going to tell us. I'm sure it's very top secret. What if this technology brings more of our men and women home, to their families? That's at least some trade off to their objection, which I completely understand.
I'm mad you get to read the next news story, John.
Hey, you know who's also coming home?
No, you need to read it. I think it's fair.
Well, it's clear that HoloLens is not going to be retired.
Oh my God!
I was going to say
it's a good one.
For God's sakes, man!
Do it. I went with you know who is going home.
His is always that you know who he is or you know what is. It's totally Chris. We're moving on from pivots. We're just going to say the thing.
Hey, come at me again.
Come at me, bro.
Come at me one more time. I will Zaxby's dinner you.
Reggie Fils-Aimé's body is ready for retirement. Reggie Fils-Aimé is retiring as president and COO of Nintendo of America. In a farewell video, Reggie stated that Nintendo owns a part of my heart forever. It's a part that is filled with gratitude for the incredibly talented people I've worked with, for the opportunity to represent such a wonderful brand, and most of all, to feel like a member of the world's most positive and enduring gamer community. Mm-hmm. As I look forward to departing in both good health and good humor, this is not game over for me, but instead leveling up to more time with my wife, your wife,
his wife,
family, and friends, end quote.
Huh. That was gaming references.
Reggie.
That was awesome.
Reggie will be replaced by Nintendo of America's current SVP of Sales and Marketing, Doug Bowser. Yes. Doug Bowser.
It'll only be called Bowser from now on.
Dude, Doug Bowser, that's the only, for me, I guess, I don't want to say good thing, but bright light is this guy seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
I immediately started doing a Twitter stalking of Doug Bowser. He loves Nintendo, and for me, that's the most important thing for somebody to be in there who'll be able to lead the company in a way like Reggie did, man.
I don't know.
Reggie's awesome.
I don't know how much of a good pitchman he is, like as far as doing ads, but if they could do a great thing of ads of like him fighting with the actual Bowser, as far as
who's Bowser,
what's the best direction for Nintendo going forward? Like Bowser's just trying to destroy things, and Doug's like, no, that could be a good.
He's
series.
like, I'm Doug Bowser.
Well, one of the things about these type of retirements, and I think you guys can relate to this, and many people may not be, and people love games, but we not only love games but are passionate about the industry and what goes on in it. These guys, at least to me, the Phil Spencers and the Sean Layden's of the world, these guys are like celebrities and rock stars to me. These are the guys I go after for autographs. These are the guys that just, and Reggie has been around for so long. It's gonna be it.
It's a hit.
He's a love him or hate him. He's a presence in the games industry, and people respect him. For his ability to, he can form a narrative better than anybody in the business, if you ask me. He can pivot. He can do all the things that you would expect a guy like that to do, but you also respect him for just the role he played. And I'm going to personally miss him a lot.
I really echo what you say, John. That was well said.
It's sad, but I'm not surprised also, because this is kind of the path that a lot of these people take, like you think about like his trajectory. He comes in and then like you have Reggie. He comes in. Reggie is he's there for GameCube, and then he works on, of course, Wii, builds his name there, and then you go through the heartbreak of Wii U, and now you come back and you're like, okay, we had this really bad time in our company, and we rebounded from it, and we found a way to this time around reach the market that we really wanted to reach again, which was America. Which
was people.
Well, I mean, that's always the goal, right?
Yeah,
to reach America. And whether like you go back in the history of all these companies, whether it was Peter Moore back when he was with Xbox and he left after the 360 launched, or when PS4 launched and Jack Trenton left. Now it's like, if you're Reggie, it's like, why not leave now? Because the worst thing you could do is like stick around and then you have to decide, am I okay with basically working 70, 80 hour weeks again in hopes of repeating this, job? Like, I won't be surprised if Xbox, right? Like if next generation, if Xbox jumped back, I'd imagine Phil's probably going to leave, and I wouldn't blame him because it's like, you did your job. You did your service to the company.
Reggie's just the most quotable, video game presence in the business.
Yeah.
I mean, how many things are he is? My body is ready. I'm Reggie. I'm about kicking A and taking names and playing games. I mean, he's just such a presence. I'm gonna miss him for sure.
He's very direct.
Aha!
Speaking of Pokemon Direct coming today.
Woo.
Nintendo announced they'll release a 7-minute Nintendo Direct centered on new info about Pokemon.
Ooh.
It will be live streamed today, February 27th at 6 a.m. Pacific. And thank God the news team told me what time that is Eastern, and that's 9 a.m. Set your alarms.
Or just watch it on YouTube when you wake up.
Or be mad that you can't watch it at work.
I'm hoping this is...
Oh, you lost that?
No, but I can't.
Don't ever lose it.
I'm hoping this isn't new information about the new games, but I have a feeling that it's updated content for...
You never know.
You're right.
They did drop, as far as Pokemon stuff I saw this afternoon, finally released the full trailer for Detective Pikachu.
Did you see
it looks just as brilliant as you hoped it would look.
I can't wait to watch that movie.
Did you see
Right.
if you're listening, go check out the outside the actor studio spot for Detective Pikachu, where Ryan Reynolds is talking about method acting and getting into the character of Pikachu. It's hysterical. It's quite funny.
They show him in the trailer getting into the arena. And he's about to fight Charizard, and then he can't electrocute him because he's nervous. And he gets very nervous, and it's quite hilarious.
Good stuff.
Well, I get nervous a lot.
Boo.
Let me say,
You want to read this one too?
no. I mean,
You really want to read the next one, John? Is that?
So, is it mine?
Yeah, it's you. That's you.
he's saying because my other one was
Oh, okay.
short, but I did a brilliant job at it.
You
so.
did.
You also had like the ginormous one earlier, so
You nailed
you're
it.
fine.
Hey, we don't roll like that on the thing over here.
I just want to give your pipes a break.
I want
You're still in recovery. We all remember that episode.
more
Brian
Resident
Lee just come in here.
more. Oh wait.
Go ahead.
Okay, cool.
Boo.
More Resident Evil coming to Switch. Capcom. And when I was a kid, there was a mascot known as Captain Commando.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress. Capcom has confirmed that Resident Evil 0, 1, and 4 are coming to Switch this May.
What happened to 2 and 3? Huh?
We can't have everything.
Oh, okay.
They will drop on the eShop on May 21st, saying, quote, play all 3 masterpieces anywhere, such as on trains, during mansion tours, across the European countryside. All titles will be the HD remasters of the games. I'll be getting
Yay.
these. Well,
Sure,
I'll be
okay.
getting 0 and 4 because I've got 1 on PlayStation.
You know what I'll be getting? An update for Overwatch.
Will you put
Sean,
his
play with us.
put his head through the wall?
I don't want to do
That was a really hard one. to do.
New Overwatch heroes incoming.
You got this.
The latest hero added to Blizzard's Overwatch roster, Baptiste, has been revealed. The Play Overwatch YouTube account has uploaded a new origin story video giving us some information into the upcoming hero, Baptiste. Baptiste.
Someone didn't watch the video.
I didn't.
No.
Did you?
I have not. I didn't get a chance this afternoon because this broke today.
Yeah, that's why it's on the news, because that's what we do.
Yeah, that's nice.
He'll be a mix of a DPS. That's a damage dealer, John.
I was thinking something else.
And healer character.
Oh, those are always fun.
Yeah, he'll be a little fun character to play.
Shoot you in the face and then heal you.
Heal up, yeah. Nice.
One could say it could be a dream character.
Yeah, I like to hear about early access for Dreams, John.
Well, there you go. Media Molecules Dreams will be released.
Boo.
Will be released in an early access form in spring 2019 and will cost $29.99. The game will arrive as a, quote, creator early access version containing a suite of creation tools and tutorials for using them. You can view the other people's creations, a series of pre-made customizable arcade games, and a, quote, inspirational gallery of particularly impressive bits of work curated by Media Molecule. This version will not include the planned story campaign.
Makes sense.
I don't think this is going to do well, but man, it should, and it deserves to.
Yeah.
Assuming that it's legit what they say it is.
Well, I'll say that it could do well if the whole entire Little Big Planet creation community says, let's check this out.
Absolutely.
Like, that's where
you think
the
this
hope
could
is.
be big on Twitch?
Yeah. I mean, if people made so many amazing, crazy things within the world of Little Big Planet. I would love to see what they could do with a game that, or, design of this game that is really, truly geared towards it. We'll see.
Are you interested at all? Is it something you would want to play with?
It may be something I check out. We'll see. I'm more so interested maybe to wait and then like after 2 or 3 months come back and be like, all right, let's see what the community has made. Because I'm not.
What if everybody says that? What if everybody says that?
Someone's got to make the skins and the different things that I use on all my characters.
What was it that somebody? I was reading something. This is not going to go good. Somebody. Oh, I know what it was. They remade what's that Kojima horror game?
Silent Hill.
Yeah, but
the PT one?
The PT demo.
Oh, okay.
Somebody remade that shot by shot in Dreams.
Nice.
I think. I could be wrong, but I think that's what.
Very doubtful.
Nice.
You should never doubt.
Nice.
You know what you'll never doubt? That this is the point where I go, finally this week. See, I can always bring him back.
Oh, yeah.
Bring it back.
Finally this week.
Don't move. Don't move.
Don't move.
I'll get you a towel.
Man syrup. Activision. EA. Activision EA CEOs reportedly overpaid.
Ding, 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 ding. News at 9.
According to the report from, quote, as you saw on the most...
So, I'm sorry. That should be, quote, as you sow, end quote.
As you sow, end quote?
Yeah.
Okay. On the most overpaid CEOs of 2019, Activision Blizzard and Electronic Arts chief executives are reportedly on the list. As You Sow, a nonprofit foundation that encourages social responsibility of corporations, publishes an annual report on this topic. Bobby Kotick or Kotick? Kotick of Activision holds the title
correcting names
of most overpaid CEO in gaming with a salary of $28,698,375, which is 306 times more than the average salary of an employee at Activision.
and also chump change.
That's chump change, dude.
I make that an hour.
He could afford a HoloLens, huh?
This is why this is where I reveal the reason we can't show the podcast is I'm actually Bill Gates.
I'm Bill Gates. CEO of EA Andrew Wilson has a salary of $35,728,764, being 371 times more than the average salary at EA. Layoffs have recently been reported at both companies.
Perfect. I can't say it. I mean, but it's not surprising, right? They would be the two that would be the highest paid because they are the two largest kind of mega corporations in gaming, at least U.S. corporations. I don't know how large or like how Ubisoft's pay structure works since they're a French company and all that.
I don't.
Go ahead.
I understand that there are people who are mad that your boss makes that much more than you. but your boss is your boss.
Yeah.
And that's the best way I think I know how to say it. You may work at a company that calls itself a Fortune 500 if you're in America, or wherever you're from. You may work at a big company that says it's the top this or top that, and you're going to have people who make more money than you. When I started at a movie theater here locally. I cleaned theaters with a broom and a dustpan. I didn't make a lot of money. When I left the movie theater, I had reached a title of basically like an assistant manager, if you will. I made more money then. So work your way up. Maybe one day you become the next Bobby Kotick. I don't know. I part of me doesn't like that this list comes out yearly. That
well, they always have these things.
I know. But
Yeah.
I'm saying I don't know. Like what are they trying to gain by this? Just from us talking about it and being mad at the companies for having
I don't think
people make millions of dollars?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they have their motives. I do think, like in this case, they're not so much as I'm sure the focus, right? It's probably on other industries. It's just like, look, they're obviously lumped in because they are people getting paid a lot amount of money. If I'm looking at this, I'm not so much like, well, you don't deserve to be paid more. I'm more so looking at like EA, if you're giving Andrew Wilson and his management team $35 million a year, you could hire better because whoever is running the ship over there is not doing a great job.
Ship with a P.
That would it's not a thing of like they make more than the developers. It's more of like you obviously are not doing a great job of running your company.
Well, math, when you do the average salary, it's going to be skewed. I'd like to see how from Andrew Wilson, then the next person, then the next person, and go down that way.
Yeah,
as
I'm
long
sure the
as that's
CFO
nice and even,
is high,
and then
too.
eventually you get down to an entry level employee. I mean, you know,
Well, a lot of times and I should clarify, in the report they report to you from whatever algorithm or theories they use how overpaid they are, not just how much they make. And both of them, I think they mentioned they are overpaid by about $13 to $15 million by whatever assessment they use.
okay,
Now these are
that's a key point.
these
John.
types. Well, the agenda here, and I ain't got no beef with the agenda, but it's to gain attention and to put headlines in the papers, headlines on television, and headlines on websites, to where it's the type of corporate social responsibility that is forced onto companies by shining a light on them and then forcing companies in the Fortune 500 to respond in defense. Well, and it's designed to make companies be defensive from a public relations perspective.
Sure. There's no doubt. There's no doubt that the main part of this story and is the last part. It's the layoffs.
Layoffs, yeah.
So of course.
We say it like this. Yeah.
It's pretty hard to like look at like Activision and be like, man, I feel bad about your hardships here, and like 800 people getting laid off when you go like, wow, the CEO makes that much per year and you're struggling. And I was like, maybe, there's a fair point to say like, well, what's your responsibility to your employees, I guess.
One of the things to keep in mind about these salaries is every officer like this has what they call a benefits package.
Yeah.
And not every, when you look at the dollar amount that they give you, it's and this could be the case. I'd be surprised if it was. So I'm theorizing here. Most of the time, these salaries include stock options and stuff. This is not necessarily what Andrew Wilson takes home in a year. I'm not saying
Probably
he's
higher.
I'm not saying he's hurting, but what I'm saying is the $35 million or the $28 million included in that or built into that is the stocks they own, the benefits package they have, the sign-on bonus that they got, and a lot of the stock options that they have don't come into effect until years after they start.
Yeah.
So just a couple of things that could be clarified that maybe aren't, but that's not to suggest. Look, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
If you ask me if someone's worth $35 million, it's not up to me. It's not up to you. It's up to the company. At the company, the answer is clear. Are they overpaid? In theory, probably not, because you can't be overpaid
Well,
if the company recognizes your value as $35 million. That's up to the company to decide. And in the eyes of the company, you're not overpaid.
Those companies are distinct too, because it's like they're versus some other studios that are out there, right? They are so much public corporations that it's like they have a responsibility. They're Andrew Wilson. I'm not trying, or Bobby Kotick to some extent too. I think I'm not trying to say that they're bad people or anything, but I'd be like, the number one thing they're not going to care about is how gamers feel about games outside of the fact of if it affects their bottom line. The number one thing they will always be the most concerned about, and it's understandable given what their livelihood maintains on, is basically satisfying their stockholders and their investors. If they're doing that, then they are getting paid probably what those people think is fair. It's just a hard thing for the other side because 99% of us aren't concerned about that, right? We're just concerned about playing. As far as gamers, we're concerned about the games and the people who make those games and making sure that they're in healthy environments and that they have the ability to, to create things that we want to play. So it's like, it's really, really hard when you start talking about this world as far as what is fair, what is right, and who has the right claim to anything.
And it's hard for us, the three of us sitting here, to even begin to fathom the level of competition, pressure, responsibility that a CEO has. I'm not trying to put them on a pedestal as if they're some sort of noble endeavor, but it is a tremendous amount of responsibility.
It's almost like mini presidential.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not fathom the type of things that these CEOs go home with every night.
Sure.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I'm not necessarily saying that to garner sympathy because I don't think that will happen. I'm just saying
because there'll be somebody who says they're making $26 million.
I schedule appointments and get coffee for people.
Yeah,
it's just a different world and a different environment that we just can't understand.
I agree. Hey,
for sure.
You say things well, Jonathan.
I talk good.
You talk well. That's it, Chris. Yeah, I am. Let's do it.
You want to? Dang.
I don't want to wrap it up.
But do you want to wrap it up?
Never.
I paused off because I wasn't sure if I actually pressed the button, but I did.
Oh, we did.
I did it.
That was
good job,
good.
Chris.
Yeah,
good job.
Yeah. I don't suck.
You don't.
Well,
people write in their thoughts, and they can do so by writing us at weeklygameschat@gmail.com. Weeklygameschat@gmail.com. Just like two people we're starting off with. No, we're getting this part out of the way.
Is it
we're
hot
getting
in
the
here?
negative.
No,
It's hot in here.
not yet, but it might be about to be.
One of these, I'm going to read both of these back to back because you both. You both hit the same subject, and it was really weird for me because I got these both on the same. Like I messaged the first one to John on Friday morning, and I'm at home, I'm off work, I'm enjoying life, and I was like, he'll be fine. And then I come and check at 4:00, and then I had to be like, hey buddy, got some bad news.
One more.
But anyways, you can write in your thoughts in just like Jim did.
Yeah.
Jim.
Hey, Jim.
Hey, Jim. He says, hi, guys.
What's up?
Hope all is well in podcast land.
That's pretty good.
Longtime listener here. Love the podcast and the chemistry between the three of you.
So
Easily
do I.
one of the podcasts I look forward to the most during the week.
Well, thank you, sir.
I finished the Apex Legends show yesterday, have had some time to absorb it, and felt the need to write in. Occasionally on the podcast, John lets in a bit too much of the libertarian crazy, and it takes a little bit of a shake-off to get back into the vibe of an otherwise awesome podcast, but it can be done. In this episode, however, the topic of unionization of programmers came up, and John's venom and hostility towards even the suggestion these people seeking some protection at their workplace was shocking. Listening to him vilify workers and praise the risk takers was terrible. I actually turned down the volume for a while, hoping it would quickly pass. When I came back to Jon still doing it, I had to stop. Look, people disagree and have different views, but this was too much and too nasty. I'm still unable to shake of what is, frankly, an actual...
I think he was going to say shake off what it is.
Oh, shake off, an actual hostility towards Jon. I'm going to have to take a break for a while.
Doesn't fit there, Chris.
Okay.
This is serious stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will pass eventually, and I'll be back. Good luck with future shows, and thanks so much for years of awesome shows. That was number one.
Jim, thank you. First of all, I'm not Jon, obviously, but thank you for writing in. We know that you take time to do that, and we thank you for your feedback. Right. I really hope that you don't take too long away from us because, we love our listeners, but we also understand. Did you mute me?
I hope you
No, I said if what he says is true, he can't hear you.
If you're not listening to this show, I did say it, and maybe one day you'll hear me say it.
So second up now, Chris, I'm going to be honest here before I read this. His name is also Chris, like me. While Jon, I promise you to you, Chris, Jon has seen all this. I sent everything to Jon. So there's a big part of this, though, that is summarizing a lot of issues. And for brevity, we're going to shorten this down.
Brevity. Chris,
I like that word.
Did it fit, Jon?
It did.
That's what you did.
So he says, "What's up, guys?" He says, "What's up, guys? Been a listener since the release of Final Fantasy 15 and absolutely love your take on sports games and entertainment.
Thank you, Chris.
The three of you, you're welcome. Have great chemistry and work extremely well together to provide a nuanced and multifaceted approach to the video game industry. Thank you so much, and now I will vent."
All right, here we go. Hey, let's shake it off a little bit. Let's get ready.
He says, Jon is so incredibly frustrating and annoying with his dorm room philosophizing concerns the free market and the responsibilities of employees to their employers to their employees. In this past week's episode, Jon again shot his mouth off on something he obviously had very little understanding. I know this from his reference to the state of Detroit's economic viability and the hefty police officers pensions police officers receive in New York. If unionization's impact on economics were an ethnic group, Jon would be guilty of extreme stereotyping. Sorry, Jon, but that's funny.
We love you, Jon.
As the situation in Detroit, New York police pensions, and the unionization video game industries are three completely separate issues.
He wrote completely in all caps, Chris.
Yeah, completely.
So he briefly talked about the situation in Detroit.
It was not brief.
Right.
But yeah, he gave recaps on the situation in Detroit, the New York pensions, and also the video game industries. And then he kind of goes down to saying, I love the show, but Jon's insistent yammering about the free market gets extremely old. Hearing y'all's opinions on topics outside the video game industry is great. Love the football talks, the movie discussions, and even the ins and outs of the industry itself as opposed to just games. However, if I wanted my head to explode with rage, another right-wing pundit claiming unionization led to the downfall of Detroit and its root cause of all evils in our economy, I would just download Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity's podcast. I prefer to have my game podcast not vomit out these tired, inaccurate, and anecdotal defenses of late capitalism run amok. If we as video game consumers need to pay $5 to $10 more for 100 hours of entertainment in order to provide for those who create these escapes for us, we should be lining up to do so. Otherwise, you paint yourself as incredibly selfish and unconcerned with the well-being of your fellow man. Oh, wait, no, I'm not reading that part. He then ends and says, and I'm sorry, Chris, it's kind of an extreme example you provide here, but again, Jon has seen it. I love the show, fellas. Seriously, this is like the third time I've said it. I hope you guys keep it going for a long while. I look forward to hearing what you guys think of Anthem and other major titles released this year. Game on your mom's box.
No, you didn't read that right, Chris.
Game on inside your mom's box. Oh, you're right. Chris,
fantastic.
Not the guy you do the podcast with, promise.
That would be so funny if some kind of way you found out this was this Chris that wrote that.
I would have made it.
Yeah. Again, you put a lot out there. Thank you for the time in doing that. We've said multiple times that we're going to do our best to read emails that we get. And sometimes they're not going to be pretty. Sometimes we say things that anger you or you don't agree with us. But as you see here, we're not going to silence you. We're going to put it out there because we know that as you listen, you have thoughts that come up and things you want to say. And this is your outlet to do so. So thank you for that. Whatever.
Before, John, you mind if I say something before?
Absolutely, please.
Look, to both of you guys, I totally love that you're being honest and upfront of how you feel about something. I would rather someone say something to my face than just complain about it.
I hate you. Not the time.
I'm sorry. But that said, I want to point this out here. Like, look, I think for the most part, we do not just stray into political talk unless it is in relation to the video games industry. This is called Weekly Games Chat. We talk about the dealings that are going on in the world. That includes right now what has been a very large push of unionizations. And if you go back and you listen to that episode, you hear John's opinion on it, but you also hear mine. And you heard Sean say, hey, I heard good points from both of you during that whole entire time. And that's what's about, is that even though I don't agree with John's opinion on it, and John probably doesn't agree with mine, we can have a discussion and be honest and respectful for the most part, most of the time. And when we do go too far, we apologize to each other and we move on. That's why me and him are really good friends.
Can you imagine us living together?
We did. Woof. Woof. But that said, like, look, there's never going to be this moment where Sean and I reach over and say, John, don't say that.
No.
And the same way, Sean, John is never going to reach over, talk to Sean and say, Chris, you don't need to say that. Or I can't imagine this scenario because Sean is such a lovable, kind of lighthearted guy. Where me and John are like, Sean, shut up. But, we're always going to be.
What just happened? I don't know.
I'm basically saying there's never going to be a point where we censor each other.
You could have just said that.
Yeah,
that would have worked.
Regardless, we're going to talk about the issues of the day as they come up. There was a couple months ago, right? I was thinking of this where we talked about how, I think it was last year, there were talks about tariffs coming in on, of course, through President Trump's stuff, right? With China and Asia, because he thinks a lot of things are unfair. And I know I've said some things that I'm sure if you are a diehard Trump supporter on that issue, you probably did not like. And that's fine. I'm fine with you not liking it. And I think John is fine that you don't like it either. But the point of it is that we're not just going out there and telling you you're a bad person or a terrible person just because you do or do not believe in something. We're saying this is our opinion. This is dealing with the industry that we cover week by week out.
We care about, for sure.
And when these issues come up, we're going to address them just as much as we would Reggie retiring from Nintendo or Xbox Game Pass coming to the Switch, right? We all have our biases. And John, I'll let you say what you want.
Well, I want to address both of them, I guess, one at a time, and I'll try to be as brief as possible because one of the things that I think makes Chris interesting is that he doesn't agree with me. I think if everybody had the same opinions about everything, we'd pretty much annoy the living stew out of each other. Mm-hmm. That being said, there's a lot of things. And look, we live in a highly impassioned political environment. We are in Trump's America, and I understand that wholeheartedly. But there's this thing that I hope we can get back to, is that one, we refrain and respectfully, and I appreciate both of y'all's perspective, and I want you to keep writing and keep listening. I always value someone else's opinion. At least I try to. I want us to try to refrain from attributing motive to your beliefs. A couple of times it was suggested that the reason I believe the way I believe is because I don't care about the worker. Guys, I am a worker. I am that guy. I go and work for a paycheck that's not huge. I want you to consider the possibility that the reason I believe these things is because I care about the worker. That might be hard to process, but good faith arguments require that type of level. that type of understanding. And I feel like we've kind of lost that. But a couple of things. To the first letter, Jim. Can I say Jim?
Jim.
Jim's letter.
Let's say Jim.
He used a couple of words that I just wanted to kind of examine a little bit further. He used John's venom. Now let's examine what the word venom actually means. It's extreme malice and bitterness shown in someone's speech or action. I would challenge Jim to reconsider the use of the word venom. I've gone back and listened to it several times. In my opinion, no venom was used. Hostility. He used the word hostility twice. One in referring to me and one in referring to his feelings towards me. I would urge him. I'm not censoring him. He can write what he wants. But I would urge him just to reconsider those types of words because there was no hostility used. He said, I praised the risk takers. Simply saying that they take risks is not the equivalent of praising them for taking risks. I have plenty of problems with companies that lay off workers. I have plenty of problems with companies who make this much money like EA and Activision and have forgotten the customer that they serve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On that. Sorry.
Yeah.
He said I was too nasty. Again, I'm not trying to nitpick his word choice, but I would just re-examine the words you used, and consider, was I truly being nasty? No, I was being argumentative for sure. I was impassioned, no doubt,
For sure.
but I didn't insult anybody. And if you go back and listen, I would encourage you to listen because you indicated that you cut it off at a certain point. I think you should go back and listen. You might be surprised at what you heard. Mm-hmm. I was going after primarily the AFL-CIO in their dishonesty because I felt, basically, guys, the AFL-CIO is the equivalent, in my opinion, of a corporation with organizations under their umbrella.
To some extent.
They're huge.
Huge.
And they're going after $43 billion. And I urge you, is it even possible that this is about money for them? I would say it is. Moving on. Let's see.
Finally, you did the
second letter.
when you have notes, you gotta do the
Yeah.
thing.
He did the page flip.
Yeah, you gotta do that thing. Yeah, so they know you got notes.
Holding pieces of paper in my formerly nicotine-stained fingers, said Rush Limbaugh. Dorm room philosophizing, John's incessant yammering.
Makes me and Chris happy.
It just look. There are plenty of people out there who make strong economic arguments for what I'm saying. You might not think I did, but this is. And by the way, I'm not a libertarian. Chris, am I a libertarian?
No.
Okay. All right.
He is very much in the vein of not libertarian.
So
outside of a few things.
To go through some of the stuff that Chris didn't read over, understandably so, he cited an article from Washington Post. I looked at the article, read it several times. Did you know that article did not once mention the word union? Not one time. The only thing it came close to was a quote from Ron Paul, or Rand Paul maybe, referring to big labor. But it never made an argument against.
Did the quote start with this whole idea?
Probably did.
Yeah.
But
sorry, that's an inside
the
joke.
article you cited was painted with very broad strokes. It talked about liberals versus conservatives and who was responsible for the economic decline of Detroit. The article was never about unions. It was about the policies overall. Look, and I can cite articles for you too. Detroit gave union keys to the city, and now nothing is left. That's a Forbes article. New York City pensions are still in crisis. The New York Times. New York City pension staffers are chilling in Key West as Arctic chill hits. That's the New York Post. Pension sweeteners are bitter. Pension sweeteners are better. I can't read my writing.
There you
Do
go.
you need a light on it?
This is the New York Daily News. Pension
We
sweeteners
record by candlelight, by the way.
are bitter prospects for New York City. So look, just like you can go online and support your view, so can I. And I'm quoting the New York Times here, Forbes. These are not These are not
Small
right-wing publishers.
Yeah.
And look,
Yeah.
I took a look at what you cited about the New York City pensions. One thing I didn't mention, I work right next door to a guy whose dad was a New York City police officer.
Mm-hmm.
This guy I work with also worked for Governor George Pataki in New York.
Yeah, you failed to mention that, John.
I didn't mention that. So I asked him last week,
Yeah.
am I out of left field? He goes, you're not out of left field at all. New York City politics is a cyclical cycle where everybody feeds each other payoffs and benefits, and it's corruption city. Look, it's better than it used to be. No one's saying that, but I didn't say when I was talking about the pensions. I'm saying that the pensions have a history of causing the city of New York trouble. And you know what? Fact check me. It's true.
For sure.
So, all that being said, I would just ask that we just take a little bit more into consideration. Don't react so, I would argue, hostilely towards opinions that are harmless. My opinions don't hurt you. And look, I understand that listening to someone you don't agree with can be frustrating, but most of the people who podcast about video games, most of them, if not 90% of them, they agree with you, man. So I'm the one that's frustrated a lot of the time.
Fair point.
It's just, anyway, that's all I got, I think.
Well, I can't say it enough. And John's already said it. Don't stop writing in.
For sure.
Thank you for that. I find it, I don't know if awesome is the right word, but that as we sit here and we talk about our things that we talk about, we actually empower people to feel a certain way about things, whether with us or not quite with us.
Yeah.
And then they talk to us. And I think that's amazing. So I never thought that we'd be sitting here almost 200 episodes later and we'd have a fan base like we have. And it's a beautiful thing to me. So again, thank you for writing in. John's awesome. He does say some things.
Yeah, I can attest there are plenty of things that John has said throughout my friendship.
Off the air.
Yeah.
Can I add a couple more things? He one of the letters,
because we were done.
I don't remember which one, cited some things that I asserted, which I went back and listened. I didn't. He said that something to the effect of this. He said I said definitively that prices will go up and etc. This will happen without a doubt. In fact, the words he says was without a doubt.
Maybe he meant to say like with great emphasis, which is why I would say
I said it was likely to happen.
Yeah.
I said ultimately it's not our decision. I also said that. I said I predict it will happen.
It would be really cool if our production staff could have played the tidbits back that he did say.
And I also said
we don't have that time for editing.
I also said in defense of these employees, I said it's not necessarily a bad thing when it comes to employees having more safety nets. Now, if that's the equivalent of me hating the worker,
yeah,
I would urge you to go back and listen just one more time and try to give me the benefit of the doubt. They're just opinions, and they don't hurt anybody.
He hates you.
I don't think he hates me.
I'm kidding.
I think
John.
he was.
John, I'm kidding.
I know
Again, I said what I said about it, and now we move on.
Yeah, let's pivot to some more upbeat usual emails.
Keep them coming, guys.
Yeah, thank you again, Jim and Chris. And if you want to write back in, you know
we
how to just showed we don't have a problem. I'm sorry,
we will spin this wheel all month.
Yeah, Chris, I'm sorry we had to edit yours down, but
it was a lot. But again, don't not be a lot. If you need to say a lot, we see it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep it pithy.
What did you just say?
That's a right-wing pundit quote. Keep it pithy.
Right?
Pithy.
Anyways, next up, Matt wrote in. He says, "It's been a while. Your mom's box, Thug Life, Richard, etc."
Yeah.
Love it. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Matt.
Your friendly neighbor insurance agent here. Now that football's over, I have been catching up on my podcast. I'm happy to say you guys have only gotten better.
Yeah.
We finally did something
We did
better.
it, buddy. We did it.
I wanted to write briefly about Apex Legends. I own all the other battle royales. I tried so hard to get into them, but just couldn't do it. When Apex Legends dropped out of thin air, I decided to give it a whirl. Why not? It was free, made by Respawn, and being an EA Access member, I got some free stuff. Yeah, they gave you like $10 worth of free stuff. Holy S. I have not stopped playing. For some reason, this game has gotten its hooks into me. I have stopped playing everything else, and when I get the time to play video games, it's Apex and Apex only. Yeah. Let me also say, I suck. I've probably played 75 matches, gotten to be the champion twice, nothing to do with anything I have done to contribute, mind you, and have maybe 15 total kills. Sucking has not dissuaded me from loving this game. I'm not sure what they did differently than the other Battle Royales, but it is an awesome take on the genre. Love the show as always. Peace and love, Matt. Please excuse grammatical errors. I like it comes after sent from my own phone. Well, that's funny.
Yeah, okay, but sure. But peace and love to you, Matt. Thanks for the email. And yes, Apex has got that je ne sais quoi about it.
Bucky wrote 2 emails, and I'm tempted though to save them for next week because they are about next week's topic. So
that makes sense.
Bucky, I see you. I've read you.
We know, and yes, it's coming.
This whole
winter's coming.
This whole podcast audience sees you, baby.
It's just Anthem's coming.
So next up we have Sean, but not that Sean.
You don't know.
He says, "Hey guys,
hey Sean,
it's Sean here."
Yeah, please say that's him.
I know you guys have mentioned about doing a video podcast, but the guessing of what you guys may look like is interesting in its own way.
So you can fantasize. We know. We get it.
Dude, I'm busting the bubble. I'm putting pictures of us up. It's going to happen.
Nope. I have to say, physically seeing you guys interacting with one another would be comedy gold.
Yeah,
also.
That's what I'm saying.
And you'll never get it. But just based off of your voices, I thought I'd give a guess what you guys might look like. Chris, I think you would look like Tom Segura.
You do.
A little bit, yeah. I'm thinking like I'm a cross between.
Can you Google this while you say this?
He gave us pictures.
They're down here? Okay.
Yeah. I want to say, like, yeah, Tom Segura's right there.
Yes, that's you. That's you.
I'm kind of like a cross between him and Brett, what's his face, Keshek or whatever, the machine. Like, it's kind of like that. Well, about as bald as the machine, but more the roundy face of
that's
Tom
really
Segura.
Close to Chris. Yeah.
You'd be, Sean, Chris should send you a pic. You'd be shocked.
Yeah. Sean was a little difficult, but I would say John Bowerman, who, of course, Doctor Who and the Arrow fame.
That's me?
Yeah, that's you.
Is that close to me if I shave?
No, not really. That's a lot actually closer to John.
I know who that guy is.
Yeah. Yeah, he was an Arrow.
Mm-hmm. So I got that guy's voice, huh?
And John, I say, is Michael Shank's version of Daniel Jackson from the Stargate SG-1.
Close. Hey.
That's actually not bad.
Not bad.
I'm sure I'm far off on those picks. Side note, I hope to hear you guys review Anthem soon. It depends on if I buy it or not, or just wait a few months. Man, I feel kind of guilty if I'm the guy that helps to determine that.
We do, Chris. What do you think we do?
I don't know.
Gee, did it just hit him what we do?
Yes.
Some people.
Well, it's a lot easier when you're in agreement with everyone
Chris.
else.
They like the show. They say it all the time.
That's true.
They buy games and things based on what we tell them, or
But thank you, Sean, for your
Thanks,
email.
Sean.
I think you definitely nailed me the most out of the 3.
Yeah.
Maybe one day, Sean and John, after I leave, we'll do a video podcast.
I'm putting pictures out there, buddy. It's going
Everyone's
down.
like, he's leaving? Judd wrote in and just said, "Hey, y'all, love the show.
What's up, Judd?
You make my incessant drive to work extremely bearable.
Nice.
I don't have much to add. I just really want to know what the song is that plays before y'all do the news. Anyways, keep up the great work. Thanks for the laughs. Now it's time to get back to brushing my Arabian white horse on Red Dead. Hey, that's the best horse in the game right there.
Let me go. I was going to say, can we do the classic radio teaser where we always say we're going to tell Judd what our news song is?
I could tell you.
Are you just gonna? You're just not gonna listen to anything I just said. Just tell him.
Yeah,
that's fine, Chris.
The song is simply
just do what you want, Chris.
The song is simply a typewriter and then me recording afterwards with an old timey voice. The news, right? That's the news. That's what precedes it.
Maybe he's got the wrong song.
I was wondering, because I don't want to reveal the topic time song.
No.
Unless someone directly.
No.
Yeah, I won't even do it then.
No.
Though you could probably figure that one out yourself. That's a creation of a combination of things. But the other one, if he wants the one that plays actually at the end of this after the emails, I could give him that because we haven't ever said that before.
Okay.
So
well, cool.
Judd, write in again and tell us.
Can I interject a quick story about Red Dead? I forgot.
just did.
I wanted to make sure I told it and I almost forgot.
Okay.
I was at my parents' house.
It's on sale for
This past
$35
Saturday?
this week, by the way.
What?
It's on sale for $35 right now.
At the gamer sale?
Where?
I don't know. I just saw it on IGN today. It's on sale.
Dude,
I saw it on the Xbox online store for $40. Thought about it.
There you go.
But
You can have mine
okay.
for free.
I was at my parents' house, and my parents watch. They watch.
Westerns?
No, Sheldon, Leonard. Who are those guys?
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. They watch that show.
Big Bang
And
Theory.
I've seen it sporadically, but I'm watching an episode with him, and Sheldon is on the couch playing Red Dead. Leonard comes in and says, and you see him playing, and it's Arthur walking through the world. And Leonard says, "Why don't you get a horse?" And Sheldon says, "My horse got hit by a train." And he goes, and Leonard goes, "Why don't you just get a new one?" And Sheldon says, "Because I'm still in the mourning process."
That's pretty funny.
which everybody in the room laughed, but I was like, I know why that's really funny. Because I'm special.
You are special. Ever wrote in.
I can't read that, Chris.
He says, "Hey guys,
Hey, Ever.
Hey, Ever.
How you doing?
can't wait for y'all's episode on Anthem next week, maybe."
Sure.
Heard
not?
during the week's episode that y'all might not cover Far Cry New Dawn. We are probably 90% covering that game. Just finished playing it and gotta say it was pretty fun. Story was S-word, but everything else was so much fun that I didn't really mind that, especially for a $40 game. I beat this game in 18 hours, but the story is probably just half of it. I spent the other half doing side objectives, unlocking new partners, upgrading the base, unlocking new weapons, and just generally running around shooting things and running over people. The entire game is a co-op, so between the two of y'all could wrap this game up in one weekend.
Is it you have to co-op it?
No, you don't have
you
to.
just can.
I didn't know you could, actually.
Yeah, you could co-op the last one
John.
too.
Really?
Have you played this game yet?
No, I haven't even picked it up.
John.
Are you gonna go pick it up now?
Oh, I was planning on it
Okay.
anyway, but
I
I'm
was
playing
like-
it on Xbox. Sorry.
If he doesn't, it's probably because he's picked up Devil May Cry 5 for some reason. I would be surprised.
I'm picking that game up.
Oh, well,
Good.
sorry, John.
No. Good. So yeah.
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't care.
The way the schedule worked out, Metro and Far Cry hitting at the same time collectively by vote of majority wins. We went with Far Cry and
Oh, you
we
mean
went with
with
Metro, and we will be covering Far Cry probably in the next couple of
Maybe
weeks.
we'll see. Yeah, it's up
Hopefully,
to,
people
yeah.
will care by then.
I don't care.
So
We'll see. We haven't, see, now I don't
Because-
feel as bad because you haven't even picked
Or
it
let
up.
me rephrase it. I don't care if they care.
there's been no
if we're
need
gonna-
to.
Well, I thought you played it and you're like, really, we're not going to cover it? Really?
Nah.
That's what I thought. So
No.
screw that game, dude.
Okay,
I'm
fine.
out.
We don't have to cover it.
We're covering Yoshi, Sakura.
And then he ended by saying, just something to keep in mind in case y'all decide to cover it. Maybe after the Anthem episode. Hey,
Definitely.
Keep on up, and I'll see y'all later.
All right, Ever. Peace out, brother.
Babu.
And then finally this week, again, Bucky. Or actually, you know what? Let me read the first. Or do we answer this one or do we wait? I could read Bucky's here, this first one. Or do I
No,
read
you've already said you're not.
Okay, fine. I don't know.
Bucky's
read
like,
the- read the-
Bucky's
read
like,
the second one.
Well, the second one is they got
Okay,
it.
okay.
So it's his thoughts.
All right.
So
Mark
yeah,
both
can,
as unread, Chris, and get back to him next week, huh?
that's what I'm doing
Look
right
at you,
now.
right click, mark as unread. You know how to work that email.
Yeah, he does.
Finally, we have an email from Dave in Northern Virginia. We got a long history with Dave.
Yeah.
He says, "Dear John, and Chucklefish."
That's me because he
'Cause you always
chucklefish.
chuckle.
Yeah, it's chucklefish. How do you not?
He now has. He says, "I now have a wife."
His wife.
We had our nuptials on January the 12th.
Congrats,
Occasionally-
man.
Occasionally, when we're driving together, I'll force her to listen to Weekly Games Chat. We received all kinds of generous gifts from folks, but what I most want is this. For you three Richards to read this email so that my wife...
His wife!
Thank you. Thanks, John. And... I lost it.
We'll hear it.
Yeah. She'll get the most boisterous bellowing of
your wife.
There it is. Every single time.
Your wife
is read. It will be the best wedding present my wife and I could receive from you. And I know that my wife,
his wife,
will greatly appreciate it because in spite of the fact my wife,
his wife,
has a little interest in video games, my wife,
his wife,
they're going to call the cops,
has a good sense of humor. And whether my wife,
his wife,
admits to it or not, my wife,
his wife,
loves you guys vicariously through me. Thanks, gentlemen, and thank you from
his wife.
Yeah. Peace, love, and antidotes.
Oh, I love it.
Thanks, Dave. You're the best, and congrats, sir.
Do we have Twitter stuff?
We got all kinds of the Twitters, Chris.
Man, we are going.
It's fine. This is a special episode. It's for the people.
The people's episode.
So at Mario and Lando said, I know you're just kidding about streaming and Chris wearing a T-Rex costume to hide his face on.
Hey, are we?
But you do realize that Chris is on your YouTube channel and stream PUBG with his face on the screen.
I will take it down.
Maybe too late? People like that tweet, Chris. People want to see us on video.
What did we reply back?
Not going to read that part.
It was funny.
Was it funny? Let's see if it was funny. Let the people see if it was funny, Chris. So it was a gif of a penguin from the Madagascar movies. Is that right?
Yes.
Going back into the ground, and it says you didn't see anything. So that is pretty funny if you're lame. I'm kidding.
Yeah, Joe.
At Weekly Games Chat, this is from M. John K. You were right to say that people have been saying the Lakers for 20 to 30 years.
They really have.
There's also a reason why the chant beat LA can also be heard as you can't beat LA. But this is a gaming podcast. LOL. Hashtag 16 titles and an amazing picture of someone in front of the Staples Center. She's in a tank top of sorts and it says you can't beat LA. And she is gorgeous. So I need to move to California. How you doing? A shout out to Acid Sugar 1414.
We know him.
My boys at Weekly Games Chat just joined at Spotify with their gaming podcast. Check this amazing gaming podcast out now. Woo-hoo. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, that's all I'm saying on that. C. Garcia T13 at Weekly Games Chat just listened to the Apex Legends episode and was delighted to get the swift kick to the bulls when I heard Chris's response to my Destiny inquiry. I'm an FPS diehard and a PvE player. What do you guys recommend seeing that Destiny isn't doing anything for you? Anthem. Let's see. And a couple of things started going, and I think you already replied. The Claw Voice said that, man, I wish I had a PS4 to play with my favorite podcast personalities, but I did get it on Xbox. Looking forward to y'all's review. David McClendon, good friend of the show, also said same here. At Luker Hodman wanted to know if we had done any podcasts before 2017. Couldn't find any on Apple's podcast.
I replied back to him I said, Apple basically limits podcast libraries to the previous 100 episodes. And as you all know, we're approaching 200 episodes.
And we've said that before, and you said go to Spotify.
Yeah, go to Spotify, go to our Libsyn page. I don't know if Stitcher does, but if you have Stitcher app, they should have it too. Maybe Google Play, you could try. There's a bunch of different places you could try out.
One more about the playing with us on Anthem. S10 Driving Kelly said he would hop on for sure if he had the game. We hopes we enjoy it. Chris did put out his gamer tag for PS4.
Shout out, by the way.
We had some people.
We had a listener from he wrote on there. He's from the Czech Republic.
That's dope.
And he is a boss at this game. Like I add him to my friends list, and I can see where you are on Anthem, like as far as your rank. And I just maxed level today, right? The game came out on PS4 on Friday. So it's Tuesday.
What's max
Saturday,
level?
30. I took Saturday night off to do what I usually do Saturday nights. But besides that, I've been pretty much been.
You haven't stopped playing this game, Chris.
Yeah, I haven't stopped, and I've just now hit it, and he's been master level for the last couple of days. But he also gave us a lot of knowledge and help as we were playing, and answered a lot of questions, and got us through what I think is probably the most difficult part of that game.
Going back to the Oscar talk, David McClendon wrote in, Chris, my favorite movie event of the last 8 years has been seeing the Oscars-nominated short films. Makes me more excited for the Oscars than the Oscars.
Ooh.
You going to see them? It's crunch time. We got tomorrow, bro. Let's do this.
I looked, but the closest was Atlanta. What I usually do is a lot of them end up either getting posted in various places, or they, like, I know Netflix had one of them last year. I think Amazon had one of them last year. So I just wait for them to come. Like, there's also the same way with foreign films. One of the films that got nominated, got a lot of praise this year, Cold War, is coming to Amazon in a couple weeks. So I would like to see them in advance, but honestly, it's hard to find them in a way that's easy and accessible for where we are.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
He followed up with saying, I usually like the animated, but the live action are awesome too.
For sure.
And throw a good punch as well. And the docs will leave you depressed for days, but so good. Docs is short for documentaries, John.
Yeah, one of the ones for live documentaries that you can watch is on Hulu. It's called Minding the Gap, and if you like skateboarding and also maybe a little bit about life and alternative lifestyle, go check it out. It's on there now. Highly praise it.
At Tyrannotortoise wanted to know at Weekly Games Chat, how come Chris has a near meltdown every time you mention showing his face? Is he a wanted man or something? Hilarious. In which he followed up with a GIF of Robert Downey Jr.
No. That was his reply to my GIF.
Oh, let me see your GIF then. Let's see. See if it's funny.
I thought it was a GIF.
It was from Community.
It's from Community. It says, I didn't kill my wife. Hands are up. It's awesome.
He's doing the Harrison Ford.
Yeah. And then his GIF back to your GIF was Robert Downey Jr.'s big eye thing happening.
Yeah.
That says internal screaming, which is hilarious. Let's see here. What does that one say? Oh, yeah. David McClendon said he would also play with us on PS4.
Ooh.
That would be pretty cool.
I said if you go to Twitter, my handle's out there, and
you
never know. Every once a year, Sean Haywood comes into the chat with me. Yeah, so you might see him on there. And once every 10 years, a John appears.
He's never been on PlayStation, don't lie. At Zexon389, on the Kingdom Hearts episode, it was said, I forget by who, that a 6 is so bad it shouldn't be finished. On a scale of 1 to 10.
I think that was Jeff.
No.
Or Tony.
Yeah, it would have been Tony. On a scale of 1 to 10, not just a renamed 1 through 5, what would you say that your 7 is more? Would you say your 7 is more like a 4 out of 10? No.
No, to me, a 7 is a good game, but, despite the fun that you're having, you definitely accept that there's some issues with it.
Well, here's what you got to start doing, Chris. You've been getting on the Twitter and you've been replying to these people without liking their comments.
I do like them.
No, you didn't just now because I had to. Okay, if you're going to come in there and do the things, do it right, you drunkard.
Hey.
Because then he followed back and said fair to what you just said.
Yeah.
But what would a 3 or 5, would a 3 or a 5 or even a 1 be then?
That would be something that is just not only a bad game as far as like story and game design, but it's broken. It can't run at all. It's not doing what it's supposed to. Like, to me, those are the scores of like, this almost feels like a studio basically trying to get your money, and that's it. Like, that's the only concern. Like shovelware, a lot of that kind of stuff that we used to see back on the Wii and the Wii U, and even still see on Steam Store and things like that. There are games that specifically that's what they do.
Sweet.
So I try to avoid those though. So it would take a lot for me to say 3 on something. If I'm coming on here, y'all better be prepared. It's going to be a hot episode.
At S10 Driving Kelly, at Weekly Games Chat, do you find fellers have a Discord channel? If not, have you thought about getting one? This is a fantastic idea.
It is. We do not, and I'll be honest. The reason why is that, one, John doesn't really get on PC.
No. Let me finish this before you say that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. and a lot of streamers do this too. They have a channel, and every once in a while, they hop in there when they can. But it's more for the community of Weekly Games Chat to have a place to go to talk to each other when they're playing games.
Sure.
But he says if you have not thought about getting one, this is quickly becoming my favorite gaming podcast. It will be cool to interact with fellow listeners.
For sure.
So that's the train of thought. Create a Discord channel. Discord is a new way that you communicate via PC, if you will. It took the place of Vent and what's the other ones? TeamSpeak, Vent, those kind of things.
They all died very quickly.
Discord is amazing, and that is actually something that I'm going to talk to Chris and John about and see if we can get it going.
Clarissa uses it for Pokemon Go.
There you go.
Yeah, a lot of people use it.
It's a thing.
I think the only reason, like I said, we haven't done it before is just that we don't PC game a lot, and when we're in game talking to each other, it's usually just through the console that we're playing. Right.
But
if we did a Switch game,
which we might be doing pretty soon,
especially with all these online games coming from Xbox,
I would love to. I would love to get some sort of feedback about if people would be interested in a Discord. But hey, we can push it and we'll see what happens.
Hit us up on Twitter or email if you want us to put a Discord out there. If you'd be interested,
and if there's just a few of y'all, I think that'll be enough for us to do it.
Yeah.
Hydraberg, what up?
What up, Hydraberg?
Just wanted to say to my buddies and I. Well, I just wanted to say my buddies and I are loving a game who will be talked about next week right now, Anthem. We understand the critiques it's gotten, but can't seem to wrap our heads around all the hate. It's like people want to hate this game before ever experiencing it.
It's very painful for me to not say anything.
I'm just reading this. We will not utter a word back to you, sir. Okay? Just so you know, because we got a lot to say about it next week. It's like people want to hate this game before ever experiencing it. I played since Friday, and there's no other game that looks this gorgeous, has combat and traversal like this anywhere. It's so fluid to fly and maneuver, and the classes are great. This game has solid bones that I know BioWare will build upon, and I'm going to stick around to see what's in store. Mm-hmm. Game on, guys. Game on, Hydraberg. Tune in next week for possible Anthem talk. And I think that's it. Let me make sure I'm not missing any new followers. We love we got a couple guys. This is really good. At Morty McFly.
That's good. That's so good.
That is. And I'm going to say this.
I want to steal your Twitter handle right now. Can I do? I could do Doc Sanchez. That would work.
At Lost in Sky World. Thank you for the following you back. This is pretty cool. They are something to do with retro future style TD action platformers for a game. I think that's the game that's following us that they're developing. So that's pretty dope.
It's all about the game.
And if you want to be part of, the Twitter chats and stuff, you can do it. We're at Twitter at Weekly Games Chat, and Chris is going to tell you not only that, but other ways to get in touch with us after he possibly reads Facebook stuff. I'm not sure.
We'll hold off on that because this is a long episode and we don't have that much space.
Oh, okay? Let's do this. Game on.
Yeah. No.
Bye.
This has been episode, I believe, 193 of Weekly Games Chat. If you like the show, subscribe to us on iTunes or whatever podcast service you use. You'll get a new episode like this one, including on Spotify, every Wednesday. If while you're there, that's funny. If while you're there you like the show, write us a review or drop us a rating. It helps people find the show. Most usually have a 5-star tier rating system. So 5 stars if you love the show. But if you hate us, we don't discourage that, as you heard in our emails today. So what you should do is you should subtract 1 from 5, then divide it in 2 and do what, Sean?
Double it.
Because that is the official score for hatred of podcast. You can also find us on social media, as we've said before, Weekly Games Chat on both Facebook and Twitter. Maybe one day we'll do an Instagram, but I'm just not hip and cool like these millennials to do that.
I'm on Instagram personally, but not for
you
the
do
show.
hang out.
Aren't you a millennial?
In theory,
he's a late
it's
millennial.
like, they keep talking about this micro.
They keep changing the years.
Yeah, they keep saying like mine is like a micro generation or something because we're the last analog, as they're calling it, generation.
Why are you breathing so hard into the mic, John?
That's true. I am.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That's a good point. I apologize.
Remember deep voice, John? I'm talking in a deep voice.
And once again, if you want to write your opinions in, you can do so by writing us at weeklygameschat@gmail.com. That's weeklygameschat@gmail.com. Until next time, I will simply say, game on, Sean.
Game on, Chris.
Game on, John.
All opinions are welcome. Game on, Chris and Sean.
Game on, Jonathan.
He always tries to shut me up.
He does some things.
He does that.
Yeah.
He abuses me. Wait, what? But then Penny gets it back from me. It's all good.
Peanut butter.
Yeah.
What?
Your mom's box.
Peace out, everybody.
Choosy moms choose Jif.
What?
Thug life.